todos presentes, gracias Reyes. Estamos 10 miembros para un quórum. Vénganse a la cámara. Buenos días, el sheriff. I thought it was related to Martha because of the
morning, everybody. Welcome again to City Hall, to Council Chambers, and to a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council for today,
Esta noche
Friday.
es viernes, abril 5, 2002.
City Council meets every
El Consejo se invita todos los martes, miércoles y viernes a las de la me los invito a todos, por favor estén con nosotros, con los
City Council
gobiernos. El
meetings can
Consejo
also
de
be
la ciudad
viewed
pueden
live
ver
from
visto
home
en
on your
vivo
cable station channel 35, or be viewed live via webcast from the city's homepage, or heard via council phone. We have 8 members present at this time. We need 10 members for a quorum. But before beginning with the agenda of the day, this being Friday, it is customary that the council conducts special recognitions and presentations for members of our city of Los Angeles. To begin with today's presentation, the chair recognizes Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, members of council. Good Friday to everybody. On this day, it's a special day here, as it is every day at City Hall. But we have Onita O'Day here, who's a very famous person, who is a jazz singer of great note, and we have the great sheriff of LA County. Come over here, Sheriff. How often do you get to have a great jazz singer meet the great sheriff? Give a big hand for Lee Baca, our great sheriff. This resolution that I can present that on this day of April 5th, the city of Los Angeles wishes to recognize Onita O'Day, the legendary and noted jazz vocalist and resident of Hollywood, for her dedication and service to the Hollywood community and jazz entertainment around the world. Jazz is one of the true American art forms, and you're part of that great legacy, that great history. Your career spanning over 60 years has shared the excitement and the great gift of music for all. You have had the distinction of being the very first artist to record for 5 records. Did I correctly pronounce that? Good. Verb Records, excuse me. I just know Chess Records because that was Chuck Berry at 2120 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago, but that's another story. I know she was born in the great second city of the United States, Chicago. She lives in Hollywood, and also she's going to be the spokesperson for the Gateway to Hollywood project, which we know is being built at Cahuenga and Franklin in the Hollywood area as it transverses the great Cahuenga Pass. But on this day, I want to be resolved that by adoption of this resolution, the Los Angeles City Council does hereby commend Onita O'Day for her service, her accomplishments, and her dedication to the community, to jazz, and to the world. And know that you're one of the special citizens of Los Angeles. You're truly an angel in the city of angels. Signed on this date by myself, Eric Garcetti, and also our President of City Council, and testified by the great city clerk of Los Angeles, Mr. Kerry. So congratulations, Onita O'Day, and all your special work that you've done, and your wonderful scarf that you have on. Come over here right here. Give her a big hand, please. Good. Thank you.
Gracias. Por favor, diga unas cuantas palabras.
Comfortable. The great thing about singers is they can sing beautifully, but sometimes they get a little shy when they speak, right?
That's about right.
Cuando hablan de eso, sí es cierto. Bueno.
Well, I kind of, you know, well, I'm thinking.
Estoy pensando.
And oh, City Hall, yes, of course.
Gracias por el Palacio Nacional, no vamos a
Well,
olvidar
he
eso.
told you about
Cuando
the
le dijo acerca
Chicago's beginnings with the Gene
empezó
Cooper
con
Orchestra.
el grupo
Right?
de la
What's his
orquesta,
name? I
vamos
was
a
with
necesitar
Gene
nombre
Cooper,
con
Stan
Gene
Kenton,
Cooper, Stan Kenton,
Benny Goodman,
Benny
overseas, and I just kept staying with it.
en Europa, no puede estar
And then they start giving me
empezar a andar
the lady of the jazz, you know. And the last few weeks when Peggy Lee, that was the one that passed away, and that left me with the only singer in the whole world of the jazz people. And to come here, it's really nice of you to do that.
Well, thank you, Onita. And today is your day. We also have Merle Singer here from the Gateway to Hollywood for a few brief words. Merle.
The Gateway to Hollywood is just on the verge of construction. It will be a fabulous entree into Hollywood, and it will be something that the entire Los Angeles will be proud of. And we are so honored to have Anita O'Day as our spokesperson. Thank you.
Well, that's so special, and also what's great about this gateway is each of us in our districts could find locations like this to build gateways to our neighborhoods to enhance the beauty of our communities. And Anita, it's great. Gene Austin, you're here. Thank you so much for coming, and the rest of the delegation. Please join me once again in saluting Anita O'Day on this day as the spokesperson for the Gateway to Hollywood.
Gracias.
Thank you, Chief.
Gracias. Vamos a ver.
Thank you, Mr. Labange.
Gracias, señor Labange.
We still do have Sheriff of Los Angeles County still with us. Sheriff Baca?
Sheriff Baca.
Do you wish to say a few words?
¿Usted quiere decir algunas
Did you wish to
palabras?
say a few words?
¿Desea decir algunas palabras?
Sheriff Baca went to the second best high school in the Northern League, Franklin High.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm just saying hello, and I want to thank all of you in the great city of Los Angeles for the wonderful work you're doing. And principally, I came and visited with Tom over the homeless problems, and we're collaborating, and we'll work our way through every member of the city council to see if we can come up with a greater vision, strategy, and resources. But Wendy Gruhl is your first day or second day, and congratulations to you. Thank you very much, folks.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you, Sheriff. You're welcome here anytime.
Está bienvenido aquí cuando sea
Council Chair recognizes Mr.
reconoce
Pacheco
al señor
for a
Pacheco
presentation.
para una presentación.
Mr. President, colleagues,
Vicente, colegas,
I would like to bring up three individuals who, as the LA Times has reported,
el Times
were
ha
very
reportado,
instrumental
fueron muy
in
instrumentales
saving
en salvar
a woman's life, a
la
woman
vida de
who
una
was
mujer
in the
que
East LA
estaba
area
en el área del este de Los
working
Ángeles trabajando
or taking courses at the East
tomando
LA
cursos
Skills Center,
en
a woman by the name of Dawn Gantz.
oficios de Los Ángeles.
And unfortunately, so let me bring up the gentleman. Come on up,
Desafortunadamente
guys.
los caballeros vengan, por favor.
Unfortunately, while she was at a bus
Mientras
stop,
estaba en una parada de
there was
camión,
a
hubo un
And for all of your
para todos
own
sus
individual
los
interests, I did
intereses,
pass out a
le
copy of
pasé
the
una
LA
copia
Times
del artículo del periódico de Los Ángeles, y si quieren ver eso, está enfrente de ustedes en su escritorio.
These three individuals
Tres
were
individuos que
passing by an
estaban pasando en una
intersection
intersección
where
donde
a collision
un choque
occurred in which
ocurrió en la cual
case one
el caso de un
automobile ended up out of
automóvil
control
terminó fuera de
and
control
crossing over
y
onto
causan,
a
se
bus stop
puso a
where
una parada de
Ms.
camiones
Gantz
donde la señora
wasn't
que
able
estaba
to
no pudo
basically
básicamente
move
moverse
quick enough to
lo
avoid
suficientemente
being
rápido
pinned
para
under
evitar que
vehicle.
fuera
So at the
atorada bajo
time,
el
in
vehículo. En ese
those
momento, en esos
during
momentos,
that,
durante ese
accident,
accidente,
Ms. Gantz obviously
será
was
que obviamente
seeking help and
buscando
screaming and
ayuda,
yelling for
gritando
help. I
ayuda.
understand also
Y
the driver
entiendo
of the
que también el
vehicle
chofer del
seeking
vehículo estaba
help and yelling
buscando
for help.
ayuda y
And
pidiendo ayuda.
Lester, Danny, and
Y
Enrique
Lester, Dani y
were
Enrique
passing by
estaban pasando.
and pulled over. We're coming from a
Hicieron la-
meeting in El
vinieron de
Sereno
una
and
junta
going
del
back to
Sereno y
their
regresando
office in
a su
Ball Heights.
oficina en Ball Heights.
And if I remember
Y si puedo
correctly,
recordar
this is the
correcto,
office
este es el
in our
oficio
building,
en nuestro edificio.
right?
¿verdad?
Their office is in
Su
our
oficina está
building,
en
and
nuestro
many of you have seen
edificio.
our
Muchos han
building. It's
visto
on
nuestro
First
edificio, está en la
Chicago,
primera en Chicago.
where, through a
Por
cooperation
una
with the
corporación
property
del
owner there,
dueño
we
de la
have
propiedad
the
tenemos
Lucille Becerra Roybal
el sello
Family
de
Service
Silva
Center.
Servicios,
We
el
have my
centro,
field
tenemos
office.
mi
We have
oficina,
our Family Delivery
tenemos
Network service there with
la
Centro de
familia,
Ayuda,
el centro de ayuda Azteca,
firefighters,
And we
bomberos,
also
y
have
también
many
tenemos a
different
muchos programas,
including
incluyendo
the gang intervention
de la
programs
intervención de
that
pandillas,
these three individuals
los
work
nuestros que
with,
trabajan con.
and specifically
Específicamente
Enrique, who's been here
Enrique, quien ha
before,
estado aquí
works with
anteriormente,
the Azteca
trabaja con
firefighters.
el Azteca,
So on behalf of the
Azteca,
city
con toda
council, I
parte
wanted
del
to bring
Consejo de
them
la
in
Ciudad, los
and
quise traer
recognize
y
them for that
reconocerlos
valiant
por ese
effort.
esfuerzo
And
valiente.
I know it's very
Yo sé
uncomfortable
que es muy desagusto
and very unusual
y
to
muy
be
inusual
called a
que yo lo
hero,
llamaron
but
héroe,
in today's times
pero
when
en
we
los
see
tiempos de ahora donde
individuals
vemos
risk their own
individuos
lives for the
arriesgar su
safety of
propia vida
another
por la
person,
seguridad de otra
we know
persona.
that that is
Nosotros sabemos
very
que eso
heroic
es muy
and
heroico
should be
y
commended
debe
and
ser comendado y
recognized.
reconocido.
We know the Gant
Sabemos que
family
la familia
and
que
Don couldn't be here
no
today
pudiera
with
estar
us, but
aquí,
she
pero
did
ella
communicate through our
comunicó
office that
con
she's very
que
appreciative
estaba muy
of their
apreciante
effort.
de su esfuerzo.
And obviously,
Y obviamente,
thanks them for
y
carrying
las
enough
gracias
to get
por
out of their,
querer
to get out of their
por
car
salirse
and
de su
help
carro y
her
ayudarla a ella.
get out from underneath that car. So
Salirse
I
de
would
ese
like to
carro, me gustaría
present to, first of
presentarle
all,
primeramente
Enrique Hurtado,
Enrique Hurtado
for working,
por
actually
trabajar
not working, for
por
on February
por
15th
febrero
of
15
this year,
de este año,
for becoming
por
a hero
hacerse un
to
héroe.
Don Gant, to a family, to the
a una
council
familia
district,
del
and to
distrito
the
del
city of
Consejo de la
Los
Ciudad de Los
Angeles.
Ángeles. Enrique,
I just
nada más
I can't say
que
enough
no puede
about
ser
that day and
suficiente
how
esto
well
ustedes
you
que
performed.
también
So,
hicieron ustedes.
I want to give you the
Más que
certificate of
darles
recognition.
certificado de reconocimiento. Gracias.
And Lester
Y
Morales.
Lester Morales.
Lester, I also want
Lester
to
también
commend you
quería
for your heroic
felicitarlo
effort
por su
on that
esfuerzo heroico en
February 15th day.
ese día de febrero 15.
And also Danny
Y
Diaz,
también Dani
for
Díaz,
also joining
también
in
por haber estado
on
ahí
that day and
ese día
giving and supporting
y
someone
soportar
else's
a alguien la
life
vida de
and
alguien
risking
más.
your own life. Thank you.
Arriesgar su propia vida. Gracias. ¿Quiere decir algo, Enrique?
Mr. Pacheco, a couple of our colleagues also wish to say a few
¿Cuántos quiere
words.
decir alguna?
Mr. Reyes?
Señor Reyes.
Thank you, sir.
Gracias, señor.
Councilman Pacheco, I want
Consejero
to
Pacheco,
thank you for
quería dar
bringing
las gracias
Enrique
para traer a
through.
Enrique y el equipo,
Council members,
miembros del Consejo.
I met Enrique 3 years ago,
Conocí
4
a
years
Enrique
ago,
hace
at a
4
community
años en
meeting
una
in
junta de
Cypress
comunidad
Park.
en Cypress
And they were
Park.
talking to a
Y
group of
están
12,
hablando a un grupo de
13-year-olds
12,
about
13 años acerca
the
de
issues of gangs.
las cuestiones
But
de
they did something
pandillas.
different. They were showing them
Estaban enseñándoles a
how they
ellos
can
cómo
take
es que
them
podían
into the
tomar
mountains,
en las
provide a
montañas
job
para
for
dar
them,
trabajo para
the National
ellos,
Forestry, to learn how to adapt to skills that would give them hope for the future. And he was showing them that there are jobs out there for them if they work hard and they dedicate themselves to the work ethic. And he was speaking to a bunch of young folks who you could just see had lost that sense of hope. They were ingrained as this notion of being part of this gang family, and he was pulling them out of it. So he saves lives, his crew saves lives. Lester and Danny, and there's a whole crew of them doing this day to day. But the real hero here is their sense of being a hero is because they're doing it on their own. They're doing it with minimal city resources. The city is not stepping up to help them. We have 24 departments with budgets. We have 24 departments, I believe, that have parts in their budget where they could be sharing those resources to hire young people to do the kinds of jobs that they can do and improve our communities. Hire kids in the neighborhoods that are being defaced by the fact that they are feeling isolated from their own community. And Enrique and his crew are bringing them back. See, they are the ones that go into those dead-end streets where the cops need to go 2 cars at a time to figure out if they can make a difference. They're the ones doing it without police. They're doing it with a lot of heart, with the same Spanish corazón. They're doing it. That's why they're heroes. But I thank Councilman Pacheco bringing them because this is a highlight. This brings attention to them. But let's be very clear. They need more resources. We need to get them ways to get jobs. And we as a city can do that. We have to do that. Thank
Tenemos
you.
que hacerlo, gracias.
Mr. Riddick Thomas?
Mr. President,
Señor
members of the
presidente,
council, on
miembros del
behalf
Consejo, en
of
parte
Mr. Weiss
del
and
señor
myself,
Weiss y yo,
whose permission I've
con
secured
permiso asegurado
to offer
para
our
ofrecer
esteem, our sense of pride,
nuestro
and
sentido de
our
orgullo
respect for the
y
work
respeto
that
para el
these
trabajo que estos
young men do routinely, day in and day out.
día a día,
I'm particularly
particularmente
pleased that I've gotten a chance to
a gusto que he tenido la
know their
opción de
work
conocer su
through
trabajo
the LA Bridges.
Los puentes de Los
effort,
Ángeles con el esfuerzo.
They are founding
Son
participants in our experiment that has grown to bear fruit. But there is no
para su fruta, pero no hay
way of
manera de
describing the sense
describir el
of
sentido
pride
de
that is
orgullo
ours
que
when
es
we
nuestro cuando
read of
leemos
an act of valor, selfless pursuit, when one extends
sin cuando no
oneself
extiende su
for
propia
another.
vida para otro.
So for myself and
Para mí.
I suspect all of us,
Sospecho que
as
todos
is indicated
nosotros, como
by
se ha indicado por
Mr. Pacheco's bringing you before us for this recognition. It is a high honor to simply compliment you, to acknowledge you, and to wish you all that we can as we take this
cuando tomamos
opportunity
esta
to
oportunidad
cause
para
the entirety of our city to recognize what it means
reconocer lo que quiere
to be
decir
involved in the
estar
life
envuelto en la vida
of the city
de
to
la
the very
ciudad
extent
para
of
la
extending
extensión de
oneself
extender su propia
to save
persona para salvar
another. So
otra.
thank you
Entonces,
very, very
gracias.
much on
Mucho,
behalf
mucho gracias.
of a grateful city.
parte de una ciudad muy agradecida.
Ms. Han.
Free at last. I too just
Yo
really
también
want to
quiero
extend
extender mi
my deepest gratitude. What a
gratitud muy honda.
dramatic story.
Qué
I
historia tan
read it
dramática.
this
Yo la leí
morning.
esta mañana.
It was such a
Fue
dramatic
tanta
story,
historia tan
and
dramática.
you
Y
literally
usted literalmente
snatched this woman
jalaron a esta mujer
from the jaws of
de
death.
las quijadas a
And
muerte.
like everyone
Y
else
como
said, though,
todos
I
dijeron,
was, when I understood what you did
entendí
on
lo
a
que
daily
usted hacía
basis,
en bases
I
diarias,
realized that's what
y me
you're
doy cuenta
doing
que eso es
on
lo
a
que hacen
daily
en bases
basis.
diarias.
You are literally
Ustedes son literalmente
snatching these
sacando
young
a esta
people
gente joven
from a life
de
of
una vida
violence
de
and
violencia
death.
y muerte.
Every time you save
Todos los días
them,
que salvan a ellos
from being in a
de
gang
estar en
and
una
having a
pandilla y
life of
tener una
violence
vida
and
de
crime.
violencia y
So
crimen.
it's
Entonces
unfortunate
es
that we
desafortunado que
don't
nosotros no
honor you every
nos
single
honoramos
time
todas
you
las
save
veces
a
que
life.
salvan una
We
vida.
should.
Deberíamos.
And we are grateful and we are thankful.
Entonces
And one
agradecemos
day,
y un día
just as you
agradecidos
did
como lo
this,
hicieron
hopefully
esto,
we can
nosotros
rid our
podemos
city of gangs and violence,
deshacer
and
nosotros
we
de
can,
pandillas y
save our
violencia y
young
salvar a
people
nuestra
and
gente
give them
joven
a life
y
worth
darles una
living.
vida que
So,
valga la pena
I
vivir.
congratulate
Entonces,
you
muchas
and
gracias.
really thank you for
Y los
risking
felicito
your own
y
life.
les doy las gracias
One
por
of you
salvar su vida.
had
Uno
to
de
go to the
ustedes tuvo que ir al
hospital,
hospital.
get stitches on your
Y vaya,
hand. You were,
punta de hacer la
really
mano.
want to thank you
Más
for
que
what
dar
you
las
did.
gracias por lo
Thanks
que
for what you
hicieron.
do every day.
Muchas
Every
gracias
time
por lo
you
que
save
hacen
a
cada vez
life.
que salvan una
We
vida.
appreciate it.
Apreciamos eso.
Thank you. I would like to
Me
thank the
gustaría
council
dar las
members
gracias
for
a
the
los
kind
miembros del
words
Consejo por las palabras
on
tan
behalf of our crew,
humildes por parte de nuestro
LA
equipo,
Bridges,
LA Bridges,
Public Health Foundation.
Fundación del
Thank you for those kind words.
Gracias por esas palabras tan
I would like to say
Me gustaría
this
decir que
would not be
esto no
possible
sería
without
posible
LA
sin-
Bridges.
sin LA
LA
Bridges.
Bridges is
LA
needed
Bridges es necesitado
in this city.
en esta ciudad.
All over, there's 7
Todas las
agencies
partes
in
hay
this
7 agencias
city.
en
There's a
esta
lot of people
ciudad.
like ours.
Hay mucha gente como
every day-
nosotros, todos
every
los
day
días,
saving lives.
salvando
Even
vidas.
by getting somebody a job,
Agarrándole a
I
un
believe
trabajo,
that
yo creo que
our gang workers
nuestros
are saving
trabajadores
people's
de calle
lives.
están salvando las vidas.
Yes, we were there at that time.
¿Sabes?
We're not going to turn our backs on that.
Espaldas.
Our people that
Nuestra gente
have been with the
Tiene
Aztec Fire
estado
Crew
con
are turning over
el
their
equipo
lives.
de Azteca, están volteando
They're-
sus vidas.
Instead of
En
hurting
vez de
the
lastimar
city,
la ciudad,
they want to help.
queremos ayudar.
I want to give the
Quiero
credit
darle el
to
crédito
Don Fazer,
a Don
that
Facer,
he's here today.
que él
He's the
está hoy aquí,
chief
es el
Forest Service
jefe del
personnel
servicio
on
de
fire.
bosques.
We have learned a lot from
Todos
the
hemos
Forest
aprendido
Service,
mucho por el
also
servicio de
role models
bosques,
from the
del
city,
uso de la
our
ciudad,
monitors,
nuestros monitores,
CDD,
de
Community Development Department, the people that oversee our program.
nuestro programa.
Once again, I want
Una
to
vez
thank
más quiero dar las
everybody for
gracias a
giving us
todos
the
por darnos la
opportunity to do this
oportunidad
kind of
para
work
hacer
in
esta
the
clase de
city.
trabajo en la ciudad.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Mr. Pacheco, before beginning with the
Antes
next
de empezar con la
presentation,
próxima presentación,
members, we have achieved
miembros,
a quorum.
tenemos
I'd ask the clerk to
un
please call the
quórum.
roll.
Present Blanchard, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, Holden, Labange, Biskowski, Pacheco, Perry, Reyes, Ridley, Thomas, Weisslein, and Padilla. 10 members present and quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Members, unless there's an
Miembros, a
objection, we
menos
have
que
a
haya
very
una
brief
objeción,
agenda
tenemos
today.
una agenda muy
Let us go
pequeña.
through the agenda, call any specials, return to the
regresar a
presentation
la
segment of our
presentación
meeting,
de nuestra
and then
junta
take
y
the
luego
items
tomar
up
los
after
asuntos
the conclusion of
después de la
presentations.
conclusión de
Mr.
presentación.
Clerk, first order of business,
Secretario,
please.
por favor, el primer orden de nuestra
Mr.
aprobación del
Thomas
aumento, señor
moves
Bulita,
and
mesa mueve.
Mr. Holden
El señor
seconds.
Holden, la segunda, con
Mandatory resolutions for
resoluciones
approval.
comendores
Mr.
para
Labange
aprobación,
moves
el avance
and
mueve.
Ms. Perry seconds.
On the regular agenda, items numbers 1 through 4 are items for which
Son
public hearings
asuntos
have
donde la
been
audiencia
held.
pública se hicieron.
Or excuse me, 1 through 5.
No, perdón, número
Number
5.
4, request to
El
hold it
4
on the
dice
desk
que
in
se
the
detengan
Commerce
discretos con
Committee
el
is still yet to report.
Yeah, that committee met this morning. We're waiting the committee report. Let's call item 4 special. Items 1 through 5 now before us. I do not have requests from members of the public to be heard on any of the balance of the items. We should leave the public hearings open and closed. Members wishing to call any special, Mr. Weiss calls item number 3
asunto 3
special.
especial.
Any other
¿Algún
specials?
otro especial? 4.
4 called special by Mr.
4
Holden. We also have
4
cards on
especial.
that
Tengo
item.
tarjetas en ese asunto.
Items 1, 2, and
Asunto del
5.
1,
Members,
2
any
y
other
5. ¿Algún
specials?
otro especial?
Seeing none,
Dígase
Mr.
ninguno,
Clerk,
señor
please
clerk.
open the roll
Por
of the
favor,
balance
hacer
of the
la lista del
items,
balance de los asuntos.
close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
Tabúlese el voto.
10 ayes.
Sí, sí.
Those are approved.
Están aprobados.
Next item,
Items numbers
Próximo
6 through
asunto, el
13 on
6
the
al
regular
13 de
agenda,
la
items for
agenda
which public
especial
hearings
dada
have
en la
not
audiencia
been held.
pública no se han hecho.
Items 6 through
Asunto
13
del 6
now
al
before
13
us.
frente a
Do
nosotros.
not have requests from
No
members of the
tenemos
public to
petición
be
para
heard on these
audiencia
items.
pública en nuestros
Members wishing
asuntos.
to call any
Asuntos que tienen
specials?
alguna especial.
Items 6 through
Del 6
13,
al 13.
seeing none,
Dígase
Mr.
ninguno.
Clerk, please open the
Tabúlese la
roll,
lista.
close the roll,
Cierre la lista.
and
Y
tabulate the vote.
tabúlese el
10
voto.
ayes.
10 sí.
Those are approved.
Están aprobados.
Mr. President, item number
Presente
14
asunto
on the
número 14
continuation
en la
agenda is an item
continuación de la
notice for
agenda es
public
un
hearing.
asunto para la audiencia.
Item number 14 now before us. I do not have requests from members of the
No
public to be heard on
tenemos
item 14. Shall deem the
Miembros del
public hearing
público,
open and
audiencia pública
closed.
abierto y cerrado.
Anybody wishing to call
¿Alguien
item
que llame el
14
asunto
special?
14 especial?
Item 14,
Asunto 14.
seeing none,
Dígase
Mr.
ninguno,
Clerk,
señor
please
clerk,
open
por
the
favor,
roll,
tabúlese la lista.
close the roll,
Ciérrese la lista.
and tabulate the
Tabúlese el
vote.
voto.
10 ayes.
10 sí.
Item 14 is
Asunto
approved.
14 está aprobado.
Mr. President,
Señor
you also have a
presidente, yo también hemos
special
una
meeting
junta
agenda.
especial.
Do you wish to hear
Incito
that
a llamar
now?
esa ahorita.
What time is it? Are we
¿Qué
allowed
hora
to?
es? ¿Podemos?
Yes, we are.
Sí, ya
Okay,
podemos.
let us
Entonces,
temporarily
vamos a
recess the regular
temporalmente
meeting
regresar a
agenda.
la agenda
And Mr. Clerk,
especial,
please
para
call the
que
roll on the
podamos hacer la
special
lista
meeting.
en la
Ferguson, Blanchard, Garcetti,
junta
Gruel,
especial.
Han, Holden, Labange, Biskowski, Pacheco, Perry, Reyes, Ridley, Thomas, Weisslein, Padilla. 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first item
El primer
on special
asunto
meeting
en
agenda.
la agenda especial.
There are two
Hay
items.
dos
Items
asuntos en
that,
asuntos que
item number 1 and number
asunto
2 are
número
items
1
for
y
which
2 son
public hearings have
asuntos que
not
la
been
audiencia
held.
pero no
And
se
I
han
do not
hecho.
have requests from
Y no
members of the
tengo
public to
petición
be
del
heard
público
on
para
items
hacer ese
1
asunto.
and or 2 of the
Y
special
dos
meeting
de la
agenda.
agenda
Shall deem the
especial,
public hearings
pues,
open
la
and closed.
audiencia
Members wishing to
pública está
call
abierta y cerrada.
item
Miembros
1
que
or
deseen
2
llamar al
of
1
the
o
special
2
meeting
de la
agenda
agenda
special.
especial. ¿Quieren llamar especial?
Any specials?
¿Algún especial?
Seeing none.
Díganse.
Mr. Holden?
Señor Holden.
Mr. Holden calls item 1 of the special
llama el
meeting
asunto
agenda special.
especial de la agenda especial.
Anybody wishing to call
¿Alguien
item
más que
number
el
2
asunto
special?
número especial? Número 2.
Seeing none,
Dígase
Mr.
ninguno,
Clerk, please
por
open the
favor, hace la
roll,
lista.
close the
Ciérrese la
roll,
lista.
and tabulate the vote.
Tabúlese el voto.
11 ayes.
11
That
sí.
is approved.
Está aprobado.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, you
Presidente,
also
ahora
have public
también
comment.
tiene
Do
un
you wish to keep
comentario
that on the
público,
desk?
lo quiere mantener en
Let's
el
hold it on the
público, vamos a
desk.
mantenerlo en el...
Okay, do you wish to recess
Escrito,
the
vamos a
special meeting and
recesar,
go back to the
¿quiere
regular meeting, or do
recesar
you
la
wish to
agenda especial
consider
o
the
quiere
special one
conceder
that
el
was called?
So
especial?
let's recess the
Vamos a
special meeting
recesar
agenda,
la
return to the
especial,
regular
regresar
meeting, and
la
proceed
junta
with
regular y proceder
presentations.
con
Mr. Pacheco?
presentaciones, señor Pacheco.
Mr. President, colleagues,
Presidente, colegas.
couple of days ago, council members Labange and Perry were with us and the Commission for Children, Youth, and Their Families to announce the beginning of Month of the Young Child. We here in the city of Los Angeles have put families and youth as top priority. We established the Commission for Children, Youth, and Their Families in 1995, and we are very much a proponent of supporting healthy children and making sure that they go through the early parts of their development years in a manner that provides them every opportunity to excel and exceed in school. So at this time, I want to kick off Month of the Young Child for 2001 and present a resolution that this council has adopted declaring it Month of the Young Child here for April 2002 and presented to Jacqueline McCoskey, who is one of our commissioners on the Commission for Children, Youth, and Their Families. So on behalf of the City Council, Commissioner, let's bring in Month of the Young Child for April 2002, and then you can share with the council a little bit of what we're doing for this month. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to let you know that we do have an action plan which was released yesterday by the mayor and the Commission on Children, Youth, and Their Families for how all of the city departments and elected officials and the residents of Los Angeles can work together to improve the lives of children and their families. 1/4 of all the citizens of the city of Los Angeles are kids under the age of 18, so it's particularly important. Also, as a commissioner on the county's Proposition 10 Commission, I wanted to let you know that we have established a wonderful partnership between the city and the Proposition 10 Commission. And the city is making available these kits for new parents free of charge through your field offices, through the libraries, and through the parks and recreation facilities all over the city. So every new parent will have accessible information on how to raise their children. And just on a personal note, I wanted to say what a wonderful thing it is to be here on a day when we have one of our own most effective children's advocates, a new member of the City Council. So I know that Wendy will make a wonderful addition, and we'll have an even better partnership between the Commission and the City Council. Thank you all very much.
Muchas gracias.
Mr. President and colleagues, I also want to bring up one of our devoted employees. Someone took our resolution.
¿Alguien está con nuestra resolución?
Who, Mr. President, let's move on to another presenter, and we'll make sure we get the resolution, and we'll come back.
Y lo regresamos en unos
Thank you,
cuantos
Mr.
minutos.
Pacheco.
Gracias, señor Pacheco.
Chair recognizes Mr. Weiss for
Reconoce
presentation.
al señor Weiss para una presentación.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand here, colleagues, with Andrew Duncan from Electronic Arts, Los Angeles. And I want to tell you a little bit about what Mr. Duncan has done, because I want to single him out for recognition today, because he's a great example of how an individual working at a company can make a difference. Maybe not change the city, but change a number of young people's lives and make a certain part of the city just a little more safe than it was before he touched it. It's a great example of individual charity that I think we ought to encourage in all of our districts and all of our communities. Mr. Duncan is not a Los Angeles native, he's a Scottish native, but he's been in California for 15 years, and he's done a number of things over electronic arts. In particular, he has served many children by forging a relationship with New Directions for Youth to help at-risk kids in my district and in other areas of LA. And he has coordinated individual mentoring and assistance with New Directions for Youth with their literacy program with employees from electronic arts. And he's establishing an electronic arts room to provide resources, equipment, and computers for the kids who are interested in computers and animation, to expose them to something they wouldn't otherwise be exposed to, and to give them opportunities they wouldn't otherwise have. He's also generously done something which we find very significant in my district, because in my district, enforcement of traffic laws, cutting down on dangerous speeders and cut-through drivers is a critical priority. And what he has done is he's loaned a computer to the Van Nuys Division of LA Traffic, of LAPD Traffic, so that they can actually monitor the traffic occurrences. If we could have order, Mr. President, so that they can actually monitor the dangerous traffic and dangerous driving patterns that we have in the valley portion of my district. He has set a wonderful example of good corporate citizenship for folks in my community, and I think for everybody in Los Angeles. And so today, the Los Angeles City Council honors Andrew Duncan.
I've been in the support end of the entertainment industry for 15 years, and all I've really done is put people together, as Miriam said, like a Jewish mother. And I'm committed to doing this and raising the profile of our company in this city and getting them to commit to programs like New Directions for at-risk youth. I was amazed personally after 9/11 when I started a dialogue with the city office, the extended nature of the problem. So I'm committed to doing my best and dragging some other people with me to do their best to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weiss. The chair recognizes Ms. Perry for a presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Before I get started with my formal presentation, I wanted to recognize the mother of Derek Antoine McLean Egger, Mrs. Gloria Egger. She's here in the chamber, and I'm very pleased to have her here today. She's here for a very sad reason. Her son was murdered on December the 27th, 2001, and I had the misfortune of introducing a reward motion to try to catch his killer, and I believe we'll be renewing it today. But she's here to keep a vigil and to be a witness and to remind us all that gun violence is very personal and affects all of our communities. And I'm just glad to see her here today and appreciate her vigilance and her commitment, and prayers for you so that you find peace in the future. So thanks for coming by. And now I want to recognize Jonathan Williams, Kevin Sved, I believe Jennifer Arsenault is here today too, and Bill Minton from the Accelerated School, along with Tiffany Griffin and Jasmine Griffin from the Accelerated School. Come on up. And okay, great. Are you Jan? Okay, you're Jennifer. Okay,
Esta es
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Great.
Jennifer.
Thanks so much.
Muchas
I wanted
gracias. Yo
to
quería
tell you a little bit about this
decirles un
school,
poquito de
the
la
Accelerated
Santa
School in the
Escuela,
9th Council District for the
Acelerada
past 8 years.
Distrito 9. Los
This school
últimos 8 esta
serves
escuela ha servido
270
a
students in
270
South Los Angeles,
estudiantes en
and
Los Ángeles.
it's such an incredible
Esta
school. It's
escuela tan
received
increíble
local, state, and
recibe
national recognition
local
as a
reconocimiento del
national
Estado
model for education
como
reform.
reforma
You should know that this school was named Time
Esta escuela fue
Magazine's
llamada
Elementary School of the Year
la
in
escuela elemental del
2001.
2001.
The people who started the school are dedicated to presenting their students with a curriculum that is demanding, rigorous, and actively integrates parental involvement. Students, parents, and the school work together through parent-family contracts, a student and family services program. They have homework hotlines, home visits, and monthly parent meetings and conferences. Where do you find that these days? It is the emphasis on parental involvement in the academic lives of each child that has made this school such a success. I got to tell you, they can boast about high test scores and successful student involvement. I wanted to bring Kevin and Jonathan and the young ladies here today to demonstrate that parental involvement in a child's daily life can make a critical difference in student performance. And I want to thank all of the teachers, the founders, and just say congratulations, and if one of you would like to come up and receive the certificate and say a few words, I'd appreciate it. I think the young ladies would like to read a poem to you.
Taz is me, but written by the third grade. Taz flies in space like Neil Armstrong, sweeps the sky like a dove flying over young learners. Taz is like going to Jupiter because it's fun and needs a lot of oxygen and fuel. Taz rules the Earth and the universe, the galaxy plus a black hole. Taz soars over the galaxy because he wants to see everyone happy. Taz is like Martin Luther King Jr. saying, I have a dream. Taz dreams about everybody having a good education and getting a scholarship to a university. Taz teaches kids like the sun helps plants grow. Taz smells like petals of a flower blowing in a nice breezy wind across the sea and sky. Taz is a palm tree spreading its leaves, tree pose and yoga. Taz dances to salsa and doesn't really want. Taz spins like a tornado. Taz sings like Michael Jackson. ABC easy as 1, 2, 3.
We're the Accelerated School Dragons. We're fast and tough and rough and stuff. We're a magnet force. We blow fire and drugs and
soplamos al fuego para mantener la droga.
Taz is in the ocean. It's surrounded by sharks. But we're safe because we love one another just like a family. Our heart is as long as the Nile River, the longest river in Africa. Taz is a beautiful rainbow, and in the middle is a big rose bloom, and a book that holds all the beautiful language that we can use to write a new story of life. Taz still needs more students, a gymnasium, a bigger playground, and a college so we can stay here forever. Taz might have to clear some hurdles, but we don't mind one bit. We love Taz how we love Taz. Taz sings a good song. Taz can sing everything loud and everything proud. Oh, how we love Taz. Taz, Taz, Taz. Taz is me.
Taz soy yo.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Perry, we have at least one colleague who also wishes to make some comments. Mr. Willie Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, may I simply rise to compliment Ms. Perry for bringing to us an example of what can happen when there is commitment to educating young people and the community that envelops those young people. It is documented that the accelerated school has proven over and over again what can happen when commitment is evidenced by a total school community. Having visited that campus first year of operation, paid some attention to its development. Since that time, reading about this not only accelerated school, but this rather extraordinary environment with regularity in the weekly newspapers, in the LA Times, and the national magazines, and more to come. I just simply want to say we collectively tip our hat to the Accelerated School and to its co-founders and the extent to which parental involvement is seen as a fundamental value that contributes to the success of the student. I couldn't be in more agreement, and I simply want to say to you that once again you have distinguished yourselves, thereby distinguishing the communities that you represent, and making us very proud and inspiring us to do more to help you in whatever way that we can. Thank you and congratulations.
Just want to take the time out just to say thank you very much. This could not have happened if it were not for the true collaboration and partnership with multiple city organizations. We really are proud to be a part of Los Angeles, and our student diversity reflects this great city. So thank you very much, members of the council, Honorable Jim Perry. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
The next person is also very special. We're going to take a picture in the back in just a minute. David Lehrer. Here's David right here. Many of you already know David. And David, I guess, reminds me of that expression, as one door closes, another one opens. And he's such a special person, and he's done so much for so many people in the city of Los Angeles. In his 27 years as regional director of the Anti-Defamation League, and it was always his policy to represent the Jewish community with a tendency to promote fairness and unity between people of all faiths and all backgrounds. He forged ties with government, elected officials, media, law enforcement, and all ethnic communities during his 27-year tenure. He worked on programs to bring both Jewish and non-Jewish students of color to Israel to help educate thousands of local teachers and develop ties between the Latino and Jewish community. He expanded ADL's reach by establishing satellite offices all over the Southwest region. And I think what's so special about David is that he is global, he is broad, and he is visionary. He was one of the first community leaders to step forward and forge a code of ethics and conduct with leaders from the Muslim community to civilize debate between two sides in 1998. I think we need you now. He continued his crusade against bigotry and hatred by helping to write the state's first statute against hate crimes and made the League the premier information center on extremist organizations ranging from white supremacists to the Jewish Defense League. He has exhibited effective leadership skills and has been an honest, practical, and powerful voice both inside and outside the Jewish community, bringing a tone of tolerance to our city of Los Angeles. And I'm glad that you had time to come by, and I hope you'll take just a minute and tell us about your new life. And I just want to say that it's my honor, and I know many of you feel the same way, to recognize David Lehrer as someone who is irreplaceable, and I know that you will have unparalleled success in all your future endeavors.
Before we hear from Mr. Lehrer, Chair recognizes Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is a great privilege and honor for me to be here, David, and for you to be there today, because I consider you, and I'm not alone, there are hundreds and hundreds of people like me who consider you to have been a mentor in so many key ways, because you've set such an example for those of us in this city who want to work for the cause of justice, who want to promote tolerance, who want to promote understanding, and yet who also want to stand up for what is right. And there comes a time, and there have come many times in your career where You have gone down the
ha
road
pasado por el
of
camino
tolerance
de
and
tolerancia y
understanding, and
entendimiento.
something has
Y
happened
algo ha pasado
where you have to
donde
say,
tiene que
enough is
decir
enough,
suficiente.
and you have to stand up for what's right. And you have shown
Usted
so
va a
many of
enseñar a
us
tantos de
the way,
nosotros de la
the way
manera,
to do that, the way
para
to
hacer eso, la
identify
manera de
those issues,
identificar esas
and the way to
cuestiones,
know
y
when
la
you're not
manera
at
para
one of those
saber cuándo no
points,
está en esos
when you need to
puntos,
stay
cuándo
at the
necesita
table
quedarse en la
and try to
mesa
foster
y trata de
dialogue.
poner el diálogo.
You may not
A
like
lo
to be
mejor no le
referred
gusta
to in this
referido
manner,
en
but
esta
you're an
manera, pero usted
institution.
es una
You're an
institución.
institution in
Es una
Los
institución en Los
Angeles.
Ángeles.
And it is so
Y es tan
extraordinary
extraordinario de
that
que
after a generation of
después de una
service
generación de
of leading the
servicio de
Anti-Defamation League in this city
antidifuminación en
and
la
making
ciudad de
it
hacerla,
what it is, and making it what it is in the Western United States, that you are going to now lead an extraordinarily significant institute at USC. That is going to be path-breaking. Other universities, other institutions are going to want to once again follow and do exactly what David Lair is doing. And I look forward to many more years of collaboration with you, as do, I know, my friends across the street in the U.S. Attorney's Office. You are absolutely invaluable to so many institutions in Los Angeles. And I'm just thrilled that you're going to continue to serve in future capacities at USC. Congratulations, David.
Chair recognizes Ms. Rule.
I'm so pleased to stand here today as well and to recognize David for all of his hard work over the years, and I'm equally excited, as Jan mentioned, opening a new door. Look forward to working with you, and just wanted to stand up and compliment you for your leadership for over 20 years, and look forward to additional 20 years we'll be working with you on issues of diversity and making sure that this city is a place that welcomes all. So thank you so much for all that you've done, David.
Gracias por todo lo que ha hecho, David.
Mr. Willie Thomas.
Sir Willie Thomas.
Mr. President,
Señor
members of the
Presidente, miembros del
council,
concilio.
did I hear the esteemed graduate of
Que se graduó
UCLA
del
Law
UCLA de la
acknowledged
ley y
that
reconoce que
USC has
que
shown
USC ha
great wisdom
enseñado gran sabiduría y
acknowledging the attributes of
reconocimiento
one
de
said David
atributos como
Lair
dice
and
David
leading
Lair y llevando
the next phase of
la
his
próxima cara de eso.
rather distinguished career. Was that correct, sir?
Eso es correcto,
Thank you
señor.
very much.
Muchas
I
gracias.
just simply wish to
Yo
have that for the
simplemente
public
quiero tomar eso
record.
por el
David, we wish to
público,
acknowledge
darle
that
la
which
gracia,
you have
reconocer
done
eso que lo ha hecho.
with a great degree of attentiveness to those things that have contributed to civic life and those things that have
Esas
looked
cosas que han
locally,
visto
tried
locales
to
y
make
tratar de
global
hacer
connections
conexión global
with young people, as well as the greater community at large, you might say. And we simply look forward to those things that will continue to happen as you expand, deepen, and broaden the perspective that causes Los Angeles to be the great city that it is and that it is becoming. And you are no doubt an asset in that regard, and we value you in that respect.
Thank you very much, members of the council. When Jan called me about this resolution, my only qualm was that it looked like I'm retiring, and I have no plans to retire. As Jack mentioned, we're planning to form an institute at USC to deal with issues of diversity and tolerance, and hopefully to activate this community even more to work on issues that I think are still on our agenda. So I appreciate this recognition for what I've done, and I hope to be back here again in 20 years and get another one, so the wall will be balanced in my office. Thank you all very much.
La pared va a estar balanceada en mi oficina.
Mr. Willie Thomas.
The record should reflect that Mr. Weiss could not restrain himself pursuant to my remarks. He said this is the best thing that has happened to USC in a very long time.
Chair recognizes Mr. Labange for an additional introduction.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. As you know, we have over 21 sister cities around this great world that we live in, Lillian Kawasaki is here. Come on and join me, Lillian, because you've done so much work with the Sister City program. We have a special guest here today, Dr. Amelie Heidensdorf, who is from the city of Berlin. Amelie met my family, met my wife Bridget and I the first time about 12 years ago at the historic Eats Cafe right near Los Feliz Boulevard in the LA River. She had a great interest to travel to our city and learn about our city, went to UCLA at her advanced studies. Since that time, she also served on programs with our Cultural Affairs Department. And as she's gained stature in her professional life, she is a member of the CNN team in Berlin for Europe as their representative in community affairs. And she was in town, she took her holiday to come to our city, to come to our city, see the great streets of Los Angeles that is so well maintained by the Bureau of Street Services, and to celebrate that and see old friends. And I wanted to take this opportunity to give her a message to go back to Berlin, which this year we celebrate our 35th anniversary with our Sister City partnership, to give them the commendation and to give the mayor for this commendation on our behalf, in recognition of all the work and the cultural exchanges that we have done, the youth groups that have visited, the various jazzes we had this morning, the great Rudy Fear promoted that greatly, and all the other fine programs that we've had over the years in relationship to better understanding of the Sister City program, which is truly a people-to-people program. And one other thing I haven't been able to pull out of the hat yet, but I know traffic is a giant concern of all of us, and it's amazing to think of what the European cities have done in saving their historic buildings, and saving their historic streets, but yes, and also doing neighborhood traffic calming. I may want to ask you to lead a delegation in Berlin that we sent over from some people to help look at that aspect of what you've done to improve traffic calming in your neighborhoods. Just a small, very important thing. Members of the council, please welcome Dr. Amelie Heidensdorf from our Sister City of Berlin.
Muchas gracias, estoy muy feliz de estar aquí y siempre regresar a Los Ángeles y trato lo que yo pueda como una persona para ayudar a la ciudad y a ser más activa. Como dije ahorita, estoy en felicitaciones en este programa tan glorioso y espero que sea más activo y a tratar lo que yo pueda hacer para ayudar esto. Gracias. Y también es que yo he estado en el centro de Berlín, que es como nuestro concilio de la ciudad de San Juan. Usted también ha estado aquí. John Ferraro, el gran Ferraro. Lo que está maravilloso de nuestra democracia en Los Ángeles, como dejamos que el público venga aquí y hable, nomás llenando una tarjeta que no es tan universal en Europa, en algunos de los pero aquí es tan importante, es una cosa extra de nuestra gran relación. Gracias.
Mr. Holden.
Commend and appreciate always
apreciar siempre
he's worked long and hard to establish and maintain the Sister City program, not just in Berlin, but around the world. I had the occasion to visit Berlin on the 25th anniversary of the Sister City program, and Tom Lavange was leading our delegation, and he knew more people over there, I can tell you, than I almost know here. He's that kind of a person, and we enjoyed going to East Berlin. We understood and learned what the new relationship had become. The fact that in West Berlin, where the U.S. have been supporting them over the years, offered the olive branch to support the East Berlin, who were not as successful and productive, and they gave special benefits for housing programs, for jobs, in order to integrate the East Berliner right back into full Germany. So we got a part of the wall, piece of the brick, and the history of all associated. Welcome, Doc, to Los Angeles. I will visit Berlin again. I was there early on, before you were born, and I had an opportunity to go back with my friend Tom Lavange, and we'll visit the commemorating the Sister City program once again.
Dankeschön, gracias.
Good talk, good talk.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. The chair recognizes Mr. Pacheco for an additional presentation.
Mr. President, colleagues, it's always a bittersweet day when we have to, when we come in here, I should say, to recognize dedicated employees who have done their tour of duty with us. Here we have Mr. Isaac Sparks, who can come forward. He's Street Services Superintendent, second grade, Street Maintenance Division, who has worked with the City of Los Angeles for 30 years and is going to be retiring. And he started out in 1972 in the Bureau of Sanitation as a heavy truck operator, transferred to the Bureau of Street Services in May of 1980 as a motor sweeper operator. In March 1990, was promoted to Street Services Supervisor 1. In July 1994 to Street Services Supervisor 2. In June 1999 to Street Services Superintendent 1. And in March 2001 to his current position of Street Services Superintendent 2. Isaac has become a friend of Council District 14 because he finished off his last year at the Eagle Rock City Hall. As many of you know, Eagle Rock was its own independent city prior to becoming a part of the City of Los Angeles, so there's a historic building there that's the old City Hall. That's where his last year was, and he worked very closely with our Eagle Rock and Highland Park field staff. He was always very helpful to our office, gave them guidance, and assured them that the work that was requested would be done in a timely manner. So it's with great pleasure and pride that I present this resolution to Isaac Sparks for 30 years of dedication and service to the City of Los Angeles, and of course, ultimately, to our residents and community members. Thank you so much, Isaac.
Councilmember Pacheco,
Vamos al
Mr.
Consejo
President,
Pacheco,
members
su
of the City
presidente,
Council,
miembros
I
del
just want to say
Consejo de
thank
las
you for
Naciones,
taking
gracias
this
por
time
tomar
out of
este
your busy
tiempo de
schedule
su
today to recognize.
horario diario para reconocer.
I'm sorry, Bill White, Director of Bureau of Street
White,
Services.
del
Just want to
servicio.
thank you for taking the time to recognize Mr. Sparks this morning. We're enormously pleased to be here to celebrate this occasion of his retirement. He's been just a mainstay in the Bureau, and he's certainly one of those employees that exemplifies what we try to do in the Bureau in terms of customer service. He has a true customer service focus, and we just want to thank him for all of his years of service. He always comes early, and he stays late, and he gives it his very, very best. So thank you, Isaac, for everything you've done for the city and the Bureau.
Thank you. Some time ago, I was in search of a job, and the city offered me one. And it didn't take me real long to realize that I was in the best place that I could possibly be. Hard work, dedication. I soon realized there was room to grow here. Well, that was some 30 years ago now, and now it's time for me to move on and do some other things, a little fishing, a little hunting. I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank all of Bureau of Street Services that are here with me today. I'd like to thank all of them for coming down. Thank you.
Are there any additional presentations today?
más presentaciones, sir?
Seeing none, then Mr. Clerk, let us return to the items called special on today's agenda.
Item number 3, called special by Councilmember Weiss.
Mr. Weiss, item number 3.
Asunto número 3.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, before you today is a proposal to create a threat preparedness trust fund. And I want to thank my colleagues on the Budget and Finance Committee, in particular our chair, Mr. Pacheco, and those others on the council who serve on that committee with me for deciding that now is the time to do something significant about threat preparedness. Now is the time to do something significant to be prepared for the emerging threats in our society, which a year ago we
Hace un
might
año,
not have
hace un año no
thought were all that
pudiéramos
urgent and all that important, but as of 7 months ago, have become abundantly clear to us that we cannot ignore and we have to do something about. Colleagues, we have not been doing enough at the local level to prepare ourselves in the event of further attacks. We have not been doing enough to fund police department activities to respond in the event of attacks. We have not been doing enough to fund fire department activities to respond in the event of attacks. There are several budget requests which are still pending, which I will fight for in the new budget to ensure that our first responders have the tools they need. But separate and apart from that, we have to think more broadly. We have to think outside the box about the new emerging threats, threats such as bioterrorism. We don't have the plans, the resources, the capabilities, the communication capabilities, or the thinking in place in this city to deal with threats such as bioterrorism. We do not have it, and unless we start to take bold action, we're not going to have it. And so what we're doing today is establishing a threat preparedness trust fund, which will be used to deal with the emerging new unconventional threats. This trust fund, if I have anything to say about it, and I intend to, will not be used as a slush fund for emergency facilities, for fire, for rescue, for police. No, this is for the new level of threat that we need to get serious about in a hurry. And one thing I do want to alert my colleagues to is the fact that the funding source that has been identified for the trust fund right now is a temporary funding source. And I've had conversations with Mr. Fujioka and Mr. Deaton, and we're going to find a more permanent funding source in the upcoming budget, and I'm confident we can do that. But let's not believe that today we've solved the problem, because we haven't. Today we're only taking a step towards solving the problem ultimately. I also want to make clear that it's been the intent of the council here, and I want to make this clear to the city attorney, that it's the intent that the funds from the parking lot, which are going to provide the revenue for this trust fund, must be directed towards this trust fund effective the opening date of the parking lot, which has already occurred, and not effective on the ultimate enactment date of the ordinance. And that's something that should be clear to the city attorney's office from a review of the record. I just want to make that statement before the council now. So I ask for your support in this measure, and in coming days and weeks and months, we're going to have to make further hard choices and spend even more to be prepared in this city that we might otherwise want to, but in my view, we have to. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Holt.
President, members, I'd like to have a report from CLA CEO who provided information to support this request. We need to know more about it, Mr. President. If you want to hold it on the table till they arrive, it's fine by me, but somebody needs to talk about it. Are you here already? You know, my question is, this money is going to come from parking revenue source, estimated to be about $20,000 a month, so to say. Correct. It's minuscule compared to what we need if we're going to deal with the whole activity of terrorism in the city of Los Angeles. The federal government does, in fact, provide some grants and support for it. And my question is whether or not we are hurting some of the other businesses in that area, in the mall, by taking this money that some of it can be used to subsidize their operation. They lost a lot during those crises. So would you just elaborate on that?
The particular parking lot that's being referred to is behind John's Burgers on the corner of First and Main. The city acquired that in connection with the Caltrans project, so we are temporarily operating it as a parking lot until the District 7 headquarters building starts construction. At that point, the state will be using the parking lot for construction, staging, and laydown area.
And then there will be no more revenue for this purpose.
Correct.
So when do you think that will commence?
I actually expect to get a 30-day notice from the state that they need the lot within 2 or 3 weeks, so we're talking 2 or 3 months.
So you're not talking about any money then?
2 or 3 months worth.
You know, Mr. President, members, we have any revenue coming from that lot, if at all. We should do for the people, the businesses in the mall, what we did for those in the airport. They were shut down. The rent went on, is that correct? They paid them rent, monthly rents. We have shown no concern or empathy or need to support those businesses. The tremendous hardship and they're working at a deficit. They all were the move out. It'll be a loss, net loss to the city of Los Angeles. We put out the olive branch for them as we did for those rich fat cats at the airport. There's a good chance that we can encourage them to stay there for a while, support their families. So, Mr. Weiss, I understand it's a noble attempt. Sounds very good in light of the fact that terrorists hit us. But the 2 or 3 months, $60,000 could go a long ways to help them. I pour my heart out to them, those who are in need. $60,000 don't even compare with the millions of dollars that we're going to use to retrofit security devices here at City Hall. I think it's a good idea to talk about it, but how effective will it be? I think you should revisit the issue. If I had to vote on it today and you asked me to do that, I have to vote no because it would be meaningless. It makes me feel good. And I think I want to do more than that. I want to make the program a success and benefit the ones over there who suffered a long time. Shoe shine guy. The restaurant, this mom and pop, they're in trouble. And we're putting them in more trouble. Here's a resource for $60,000. That's all you're going to get. Is that what you're saying in 3 months by the time the state take it over?
Yeah, it'll be about $60,000.
So this parking lot contracted out to like 5-star?
No, we're operating it.
You're operating on your own. Okay, well, hey, I don't know what $60,000 is. I would hope that you reconsider the work today. I'll have to give you a no.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Weiss.
Mr. Holt, with all due respect, I must say I don't really understand that position because, number one, this trust fund doesn't hurt businesses, doesn't affect businesses at all. And secondly, let me answer you directly, Mr. Holt. It doesn't make me feel good that this is all the city can muster at this point. This city ought to be mustering much more than this. This city ought to be mustering millions of dollars for trust funds, for programs to prepare us against terrorism, for training for firefighters and police officers, for first responders. We should be doing an awful lot more in this city. And I tried at Budget Committee to get more, but I reached an agreement with my colleagues that something is better than nothing given the budget crisis that this city faces. But let me tell you, Mr. Holden, that if we follow the logic that you just outlined, we won't be prepared at all. And that would be an absolute tragedy, not just to those business owners, but to the people who live throughout this region. And I won't stand for that. So I encourage everybody, other than my good friend Mr. Holden over here, to support this because, one other thing, you mentioned federal programs and federal grants. Well, I was in Washington just a few weeks ago, and it's very clear to me from the conversations I had with people back there that people, and I am leading the charge to prepare, Mr. Holden, will you listen to me? And I'm leading the charge to prepare a federal grant program for this city because that is a task that had been left aside. And I've made sure that we have a task force that's putting together a comprehensive threat preparedness grant program. And by doing things such as this, by showing that we are prepared to put up some money ourselves in Los Angeles, we greatly improve our ability to get to the front of the line in Washington and get those federal dollars, which ultimately are going to be so essential to preparing us in this city. I ask for your support, colleagues.
Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, Mr. Weiss. You've stated that we should be doing more for providing more funds for the police, providing more funds for the fire. All this is needed. And what this council is saying, something like that almost every day, what we need to provide. We need to provide $100 million for a housing trust fund. But you need to fill a budget gap of $200 million. You have to bite the bullet at some point in time. Maybe this $60,000 should go to the general fund to do that. Mr. Weiss, it's a noble approach, as I said. Sounds good to the public and to each and every one of us. But what, in fact, is it really doing other than putting it out on paper? We spent $6,000 on paper, filed this through committees and the storage and put it in vaults. It's going to cost. So I'm just saying, all right, I'll give you a vote, but it ain't going to do much. Okay? The feds, the president created a national policy as it relates to our defense against terrorism. And much money, they take some of our Prop 5 money, our tax money, gasoline tax, to fund it. To generate another shortfall. We're not talking about the real things around here, we're just touching the surface. That's the problem.
Ese es el problema.
I get tired of just touching the surface. The time is going to come when you guys are going to have to really do something. And when you start to consider the budget, then you'll know what I'm talking about. You can't run, you can't hide from your responsibility as it relates to that. Well, let me tell you what, I'll give you a vote, but I'm going to give you a motion here. The motion is that those small merchants over there are having a hard time. And I'm going to move, Mr. Weiss, if you second, that we ought to revisit their contract as we did the one lease agreement, as we did the one at the airport. It may not be $5,000 for one, new shot shoot, $10,000 for another, but we ask General Service to revisit that contract and report back to the council whether or not anything needs to be changed, anything needs to be changed, if at all. And I want to move that if you second.
Tony DeClue from General Services Department. We went through the process of looking at those leases about a year ago and did quite a few of those leases. They hadn't been increased for about 20 years, so we did take a look at this issue. We've also...
Look, I'm asking you to do it now. A year ago, we didn't have the 911. A year ago, the city hall was not shut down. I want you to do it now.
We can certainly do it again.
You bet you can do it. Do you second? All right, thank you.
Okay, gracias.
Mr. Reyes.
Señor Reyes.
Council President, colleagues,
Colegas.
I think we're all on the
Yo
same
creo que
page
todos
here. It
estamos en
just
la
sounds
misma, porque nada
like
más como
we're
suena
attacking
que
it
estamos atacando
with a different sense of
con
priority.
prioridades diferentes.
But
Pero
the truth of the matter is,
la verdad de las
and I
cosas
will
es,
keep saying
y voy a seguir diciendo
that we
esto,
have domestic
que
terrorism.
tenemos terrorismo doméstico.
Domestic terrorism.
Terrorismo.
Mr. Holden.
Señor,
Domestic terrorism.
terrorismo doméstico.
And what that means is
con eso
that
quiere decir
we're
es
trying
que
to
estamos
maintain
tratando
a
de
balance.
mantener
And just
un
as
balance
my
y tal
colleague,
como
Councilor Wise, recognized previously that different parts of the city have different sense of urgency, that we need to keep a balance. But I also know that the business owners,
los dueños de los negocios,
the individual who's shining shoes, the folks who are tenants in this structure did suffer, just like the tenants at the airport, when you had limited amount of pedestrian circulation. And so how do we account for their welfare, their business? Because this security measure will have an impact on them too. So now are we talking about redesigning the facility so that there will be greater access to their business while heightening security? These are important issues. The folks that live and work around these areas are the ones being significantly impacted by the security. So again, I just want to talk about balance. I'm not in any way lessening
menospreciando las prioridades del vehículo que le están al señor Weiss,
let's not forget
no vamos a olvidar
the person who
la
has a small
persona que
wallet,
tiene la
surviving
cartera
on a very
pequeña
thin
sufriendo
margin,
un margen muy
businesses,
pequeño en estos negocios,
while attending
mientras
to
están atendiendo
our needs,
a su necesidad
enhancing security for neighborhoods
para
who are
vecindarios
suffering
que están
from the
sufriendo
strife that we keep talking about.
la huelga que estamos hablando.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes.
Gracias, Reyes.
Any other members wishing to be recognized?
And that motion was a report back in 30 days.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Holden, that motion would be appropriate as a Rule 16 motion. It is not an amending motion to this action before you today. So what is before you is the Budget and Finance Information Technology and General Services Report. It does not amend the report.
I'll move the amendment.
Okay.
And as for that action to be taken, we do it all the time. It comes through here where you have subsequent actions. City Attorney?
The action is not referred to what is on the agenda today. The action is totally separate.
Deals with that area. It's germane to the subject.
Actually,
En sí,
what is on the agenda is that the reopening of the mall parking structures and the creation of the trust. It is not, Mr. Holden, I'm sure that you can bring in an amending motion, a Rule 16 motion. It'll be on Tuesday's agenda if you'd like to do that.
Members, why don't we do this? Let's vote on the amendment and report separately.
You're ruling wrong all the time.
Please open the roll on Mr. Holden's amending motion. Close the roll.
Cierres la lista,
Tabulate the vote.
establece el voto.
11 ayes.
11 sí.
Okay, that is approved. So now let's vote on the report as amended. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
11 sí.
Okay, that item as
Ese asunto
amended
está
is
amendado,
approved.
está aprobado.
Next item, please.
Item number 4, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. Holden. Action. Mr. Levant.
Before Mr. Holden steps up to speak, we want to welcome someone to our chambers today. We have two fine young men from Canoga Park who are visiting us today, Eric and Christian Leatherman. Let's have them stand up. And their grandfather, Jerry Smith. It's spring break, and instead of going to Cancun or Palm Springs, they came to Los Angeles City Hall. Jerry Smith is their grandfather. He grew up in Los Angeles, went to Hamilton High, and then transferred out to Canoga Park High. Graduate class of 1952. And when he was there at Canoga, there was only 4 high schools in the valley: San Fernando, North Hollywood, Van Nuys, and Canoga, and Eagle Rock made up the 5th team in the Valley League, 1952. Please welcome the young men Eric and Christian and their grandfather Jerry Smith from the great section of the city, Canoga Park.
Welcome to City Council. Item number 4 is now before us. We do have speaker cards on the item. The council calls forward at this time Noel Rodriguez and Ernesto Lara.
Y Ernesto Lara.
I'm Noel Rodriguez,
Yo soy Noel Rodríguez.
and I'm representing the Hotel Employees Restaurant Employees Union, Local 814. I have with me
Yo tengo conmigo
some of the workers and
algunos de los
members of
trabajadores,
the union
miembros
committee
del
from
comité
Host
de la Unión de
at the airport.
Hostes del aeropuerto.
Today, I'm happy to say that the union supports Host's contract extension. The union took a stand several months ago that airport concessions hurt by the effects of 9/11 should get help from the city, so long as that help benefits airport workers who have also suffered because of layoffs and because of deteriorating working conditions. Last week, we came to a meeting of the Commerce Committee and asked that committee to apply this principle to Host contract extension. And thanks to the support of you all and the cooperation from the company Host, we agree that Host has made good progress to resolve problems and improve working conditions for workers at the airport. We brought up a number of concerns last week, workers not getting paid that they were owed, a punitive attendance policy, which they have committed to making fair. Host has paid workers money that they were owed. The company is committing to make sure that folks are not understaffed so that they can get their breaks. And finally, when there was a problem that arose because a number of workers spoke up about these problems and the police were called, and as a result of that, now union organizers have been excluded from the terminals. Host is committed now to backing up the union and asking the Federal Transportation Security Agency to support us getting access back into the terminals. So for all those reasons, you know, we're pleased and very proud to say that we do support post-contract extension, and we feel like it's a concrete example of how we can make sure that not just employers, but also workers, both employers and workers, can benefit from city relief that's being given to companies. So thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Ernesto Lara and I work at HMS Hostess and Cook in Chili's restaurant. I spoke to the Commerce Committee last week about the problems with post attendance policy. My co-workers brought up many other problems, including non-payment of wages and breaks to workers, and harassment and intimidation of the union activists. I'm here today to tell you that HMS Host has made an effort to increase, to work out the problems that we brought to you last week. Host has promised to negotiate a new attendance policy in our contract negotiations next week. I am going to be at the negotiations and I want to help formulate the new policy. Host has also promised to pay me money only for unpaid wages and breaks. And Host has offered to help restore the access of our union representatives to the airport. For these reasons, I ask that you pass the extension of HMS Host's contract to do business in the airport. And I want to sincerely thank you, the Commerce Committee, for your support on these issues. I hope to build a new relationship with our management in the coming weeks. If there are any further violations, I will be the first to speak about them here. Thank you for your time and your support.
Thank you very much. This concludes public comment on item number 4. Mr. Holden, you call this item special?
Yeah, Mr. President, I think we gotta have a report from CLA, and CEO, and the controller, and we want some verification on their claims. Mr. President, I traveled in the airport out there. Even though the construction was ongoing, there were people buying things. You also have this relief program, so I want them to talk about that. You know, how to do that.
President Padilla, members of the City Council, in response to your question about contract extension for Host, we do feel quite comfortable with this contract amendment. When Host signed this contract back in 1996, after the contract was signed, it contemplated a much larger space in Terminal 4. They were delayed by approximately 3 years before being able to move into that new space that cost them a substantial amount of money. Also in Terminal 7, to a lesser degree, the contract had contemplated additional space, and they were delayed in moving into that space. As a result of that, Host submitted a letter to us claiming that they had been disadvantaged by the tune of $4.5 million. In addition to that, and we were dealing with this issue before 9/11 hit, but when 9/11 hit, as you know, all the concessionaires out at the airport were substantially disadvantaged. Host's revenues fell dramatically, so in adjusting this agreement or amending this agreement, we wanted to take care of the claim that we had outstanding. But in doing so, we also made several other contract amendments that improved our situation with Host. Number one is we removed language from the contract that should a September 11th situation happen again and boardings decline at the airport, the MAG, or the minimum annual guarantee, will stay where it is. There is no language in the agreement for that to be adjusted downward. We hope
sincerely that 9/11 doesn't happen again, but if it does, we're in a substantially better situation financially. Also, we got an indemnity and a full release from Host for any claims that they may have associated with 9/11. And then on top of that, we've had a metering issue with Host that dated back to the beginning of the contract. So we were able to put together a situation where we can install the necessary meters to adequately and precisely measure the utility consumption that they've incurred since 1996. And upon doing that, we're going to sample what the utility consumption was over a 3-month period. Go back and run the numbers and actually bill them back to 1996 for their utility consumption. They're obligated by the contract to pay that bill within 30 days. On top of that, they've agreed, we also put language into the amendment where they agreed to the full provisions of the living wage service contractor retention ordinance. We also put in the provisions that we put in the other concession relief programs with regard to staffing. And the way that that works is that when boardings by terminal at LAX return to the August 2001 level, Host is required to have their employment levels back up to that level. If they don't, we have the right to declare the contract a default, and if they can't rectify it in 30 days, we have the right to terminate that contract. On balance, when you look at the claim that we had for $4.5 million, the elimination of the contingent liability that we had in the contract for a downward adjustment to the MAG and the other provisions that we've added in the contract, we do feel quite comfortable with the contract provisions.
Mr. Holden?
President, one other question. CAO's recommended this?
John,
Are you, pardon?
excuse me, John Jones, CAO. Our opinion is that the decision is a
La
matter of
decisión
policy
es
for
cosa de policía para
council to decide.
Consejo para decidir.
We've reviewed
Nosotros
the
repasamos
matter.
la causa.
Running, Mr. President, as he speaks.
We have found that there are useful benefits
Hay
of the
beneficios
proposed amendment,
del amendamiento
but
corriente,
that there are also
pero
some
que también
concerns
hay unas
that
preocupaciones que
We still have
tenemos.
concerns.
Tenemos preocupaciones.
And I do too.
Y yo también.
You're saying for utility use, you're going to do an analysis based, they go back to 1996, did you say, 91? 96.
Yes, sir.
And was that part of the original agreement that you had with Host, that they should pay the fee? Yes or no?
¿Sí o no?
Yes.
All right, then why haven't they
Entonces,
paid?
¿por qué no han pagado?
The 5 years, 6 years
Los 5
behind?
años están atrasados.
Back in 1996, there were a number of other companies that established sub-meters and actually started bleeding utility consumption off of the Host master meter. So it's really incumbent upon us working with Host to install additional meters and get a correct reconciliation of what their consumption was. And we figured out a way to do that with Host, and we're going forward with the sampling and the retroactive.
When did you do that? When were those meters
¿Cuándo
installed?
hicieron eso? ¿Cuándo se instalaron esos
right after the first of the
medidores
year.
después del primero del
This
año?
year?
Yes,
Este
sir.
año
Why were the departments so late in doing that?
están tardando.
There's been a substantial amount of construction going on at the airport.
When did the construction commence? Which would prevent you from installing the meters?
Well, American Airlines' terminal has been under construction and is still under construction since 1996. But with the new concessionaires that we brought into the airport,
All right, Mr. President, I'm out of time. Let me just say, I'm going to vote no. Maybe just a protest, it won't stop it, but I'm going to vote no, and I'll tell you why. This is sloppy negotiation, once again, and it's for a longer period of time. You know what, it does not give this administration an opportunity to decide what's right and wrong with this whole game plan to begin with. It's not a given of anything to the taxpayers to say that you're going to have retention. We're going to have retention anyway. If they want to be looking forward to an additional contract at some later date, we'll have a retention program in place. It's not in place now. I would say to you that, no, I'm going to vote no. We don't have an accountability on their alleged loss of funds. They part of the relief program, $9 million that we wanted to give those concessions relief after 9/11. You just give. And then they trick, the last day they come to you and say, not sign this long-term agreement. you're giving us a hot foot. You got it between the rock and the hard place. And you're bureaucrats. You know what you're doing. You're cutting a deal. You validating the deal that's been cut. That's what you're doing. CAO, CLA saying they can't sign off on it. And then why are we voting for it then? We should vote no, refer it back to the commission, airport commission, have them review the concerns of the department of CLA, CAO, and then bring it back to us. And it'll be a clean deal. It's not clean, it's dirty. And I'm not gonna vote for it.
Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'm going to urge you to vote in support of this today as a member of the Commerce Committee. To me, what has taken place just in the last week has been a very positive coming together of the workers and employees at hosts and management and our airport. Last week in Commerce Committee, when we were about to agree on this contract, this amendment, this extension, many of the workers took their time to come down and testify to our committee about everything from having problems with no breaks to some workers not having received their holiday pay, to being intimidated when they attempted to do some union work. I was very concerned. That's putting it mildly. I got very angry with hosts for what I consider to be really some egregious actions on their behalf, on behalf of staff management. However, I am the first one to say I don't want to give relief to anyone if it doesn't translate to the workers. And we have said that over and over. We're hoping if we can help out the businesses, that they will in turn rehire some of the workers that were laid off, and they will make sure that the working conditions are something that we can all be proud of. It was very positive this morning when we had those same workers come back to our committee and say that they were completely satisfied with the things that had been fixed. They were satisfied with the progress that had been made. And one of the workers who spoke today, Ernesto, who last week was complaining about the attendance policy that host had, as being very punitive. Now he says he will be at the table and he will work with hosts to craft a better attendance policy for all workers. I think that's what we want. We want to empower our workers to work with management and craft a policy that everyone is happy with. I must commend hosts for really taking this seriously, listening to these grievances, and in my opinion, really doing everything they could to restore the faith that we've had with hosts for over 30 years. So I'm going to ask you to vote for this. I think it's good. I think it's positive. And in my opinion, it sets an example for every time we now begin negotiations with the business. We want to keep the businesses. To deny this contract is only going to hurt the workers. But I was not in support of it until I made sure that every worker who had a grievance was listened to, answered, and in fact, in my opinion, it's better than it ever has been before. So I'm going to ask you to support this. I think it's the right thing for us to do.
Ms. Galanter.
I just wanted the rest of my colleagues to know that the Commerce Committee voted unanimously in support of this as a result of the extra efforts that have been made not only by host and workers, but by airport staff. And we were very pleased to learn that we will have not only for this contract, but for all workers at the airport, even those who are not members of the union, a procedure in place so that if the workers have problems, they have a mechanism for being sure that employers know what the problem is and have an opportunity to correct it, and that the airport will know whether problems have been corrected when it comes time for the extension. So I think we have come out
creo que hemos
way ahead of
salido
where
más
we thought we
adelante
were
de lo
going
que
to.
creíamos que íbamos
And the result
y el
will be good
resultado
not
va a
only
ser
for the
bueno no
workers
solo
we've
para los
heard from
trabajadores que
in the
vimos
committee, but for others in the
pero para
airport
otros
as
en
well.
el
And I
aeropuerto
too
también yo
would
también
urge your
quiero que
concurrence
les
in the committee's
concurrencia los
unanimous
comités
vote.
porque unánime.
Mr. Pacheco.
Mr. President, colleagues, I just wanted to stand in support of Councilmember Hahn's plea that we support this issue, and I want to thank Councilmember Galanter for working this all out through committee. We all share a common interest in protecting our workers and making sure that we're keeping them at the table.
Mantenerlos en la
They
mesa
truly
y que
empowered.
verdaderamente
So
damos
I
poder
just
en
wanted
todo
to
lo
urge
que
everyone's
es
support
nuestro
of the
soporte
contract.
del contrato.
Mr. Rudy Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the
Presidente,
council, a
miembros del
number
Consejo,
of
un
comments
número de
have been made
comentarios se han
to
hecho
the effect
al
that
efecto de
there were substantial issues to
cuestiones
be
substanciales para
addressed, and ultimately they
últimamente
were resolved. And toward that end, I think
al final creo que
look beyond
cuando ven más allá de
perhaps the immediacy of that which is before us,
que está enfrente de nosotros,
look into
viendo
who's in this
a
process,
terminar este
or
proceso y
ultimately
que
can
últimamente puede venir.
out of it. It is my view
Es mi
that
vista de que
host becomes the obvious. It'll be
parte
direct your
obvia,
attention
pero deben
to
dirigir
other
nuestra atención a
components,
otros
not the least of which
proponientes,
would
no
be
ninguno de los que
the contractors related to
los
host
contratos
and
relacionados a host,
the claims that are
las
being
demandas que se
made by
han hecho por
the workers
los
who are
trabajadores que están
represented in this
en
instance.
este instante.
It would seem to me
Me
that our
parecería a
review
mí
of
que
this
a
is
vista de esto es
appropriately
apropiadamente
comprehensive, and to
comprensivo,
the extent that that is the
de que
case,
ese es el caso.
it seems to me that
Me
it warrants
parece
our
que
support, and I
nuestro
simply
soporte
rise,
simplemente nos
having
levanto
had an
para
opportunity to
tener la
look at this
oportunidad de ver
with some
esto.
degree of care and consideration, to urge our adoption of the report that is before
que
us
esté frente a
pursuant to the
nosotros siguiendo
recommendation
la
of the chair
recomendación del
and the
presidente
members of
y
the
los
same
miembros
committee.
del mismo comité.
Mr. Rudy Thomas. Mr. Holt.
Señor Holden.
Mr. President, members,
Presidente, miembros,
history should teach
la
us
historia
something,
debe enseñarnos algo.
but sometimes the lesson is hard learned.
Lecciones
The Commerce Committee voted
del comité de
and recommended that we sell Mojave
de Mojave.
Desert Project, energy producing plant. You were not there, but the Commerce Committee unanimously did that,
Unanimamente hizo eso,
that you sell it.
para venderlo.
And then the CLA and CAO said no.
Pero no,
And the rest is history. You were wrong then, and you're wrong
está
now.
en mal ahora.
The Commerce Committee also said we should buy all those homes
Todas estas casas,
adjacent to the airport for the purpose of expanding the airport,
el aeropuerto.
and not yet saying we've done the full impact report study, environmental. They didn't do that. They snuck it right through.
Lo metieron.
And then when they had to bite the bullet to expand the airport, then Ruth said, oh, no, we didn't want to do it. I said, at the time they were buying it, I said, don't buy it until the report and the study is completely done.
Estudios lo hicieron completamente.
And now the airport, of course, you know that's history too. Expansion is stop, go. Taxpayers spend hundreds of millions of dollars.
$200 millones de dólares.
You know, how many more mistakes do you have to make? CLA CEO saying, hey, I see the politics with this. I'm going to take hands off once again. The union, you're being duped. If hosts were interested in the past 6 years of giving you fair wages, good retention program, you would have it, not the day before the vote. And it's not an agreement yet. They're saying they're willing to agree with you. It is not in writing. Once you sign off on this agreement, you're shafted. Like it or not. That's what's going to happen. You come back to this council, you say, but they promised us. And that's all it is. Promise made, not kept. Now, if you were to vote no, you get 8 votes to reject it. It'll go back to the commission. Commission can then fine-tune it, give the union what they deserve for the past 6 years. Why hasn't host adopted a retention program from the time we first put it on the books? They could have done that to show good faith effort. They didn't, not until the day before, and then they make a promise and it's still not in place. Now, I just can't vote for some negotiation like this. Sloppy. And that's why the city's in trouble, and that's why some parts of it want to get out of here. Because you've been sloppy over and over again. And when somebody on the staff tries to tell you, hey, let's not go that way, the politicians push it through anyway. Ruth, this is wrong. Mojave was wrong. Buying and selling all those homes are wrong. And you're wrong again. Go ahead and be wrong. I'm going to vote no. And once again, I'm sure I'll tell you so later on when the union comes back and say, we didn't get what they promised us. And I promise you, right now, that's what's going to happen. Host is going to renege once they sign off.
Ms. Galandra.
I just want to assure everybody that Nate and I are going to take this show on the road. We're both leaving the council at the same time, and by that time, we'll have the routine down really well. So, having said that, I think it's time to get on with the show here. Not only did I vote to sell it, I'm proud of it.
Mr. Willie Thomas.
In view of the fact that Ms. Galandra has made plain that this is an act, I suspect I will restrain from the more serious remarks that I was going to make as it relates to the guidance offered by one of our colleagues vis-a-vis the CLA and the CAO, that is, selectively invoking when it is we should pay attention to them. I suspect before the meeting is out, if they are at cross purposes with our colleagues' point of view, he will elect to hammer them as hard as he is those who are at cross purposes at this point in time. So, Mr. Deaton, while you are currently smiling, just keep waiting. He'll be around to you momentarily. Now, Mr. President, with your permission, I move the previous question.
And you are the final speaker. Mr. Clerk, I believe we're ready for a vote. We have the committee report before us. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes and 1 no.
That matter is approved. Forthwith, please. Next item.
Mr. President, not on the agenda is Special 1, a motion presented by Mr. Pacheco. I believe Mr. Pacheco is going to speak to the findings.
Mr. Pacheco.
Colleagues, if you have received Special 1, it involves a construction of a new home field at one of our local high schools. We had anticipated over the last couple of weeks that the Department of Recreation and Parks was going to move forward and sign the quitclaim deed because it involves an exchange of property. Unfortunately, that has not come to fruition. At this point, we're going to be missing a critical date so that the home field can be completed for the opening football season. Obviously, this is very important to the community, and so at this point, this knowledge, or this became known to us after the posting of the agenda, and that's why I brought in the Rule 23, a Special 1. So I ask that we support the making of the findings.
Are the members wishing to be recognized on the findings? Seeing none, Mr. Holden.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but then we'll discuss it after we approve the findings.
Anybody else wishing to be recognized on the findings? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Findings are made. Special 1 now before us. Members wishing to be heard on the motion. Mr. Pacheco.
Council members, in January 11th of this year, the council adopted a motion initiating a land swap by ordinance, and I have been discussing this issue with our city attorney here, and it turns out that under the ordinance, the president of the board and the secretary of the board are authorized to execute this land swap agreement, but have failed to do so as of this date. And this is something that we adopted on January 11, 2002, had the full force effect of law on February 11, 2002 because of the 30-day public notice requirement. And at this point, we need to have this grant deed signed. I am informed that initial moving sections of the motion would not allow for a council member to sign these deeds. So at this point, I would like to amend the motion that we instruct the president or secretary of the board to sign these documents. It's long overdue. This is a council action. It's not appropriate for our departments not to follow through on council actions. As of this moment, there has been no legal impediment in the land swap or land exchange. There is no issue. It's just a matter of them not moving on it, and I would ask the council that we instruct them to do that. Otherwise, the entire community is going to not have the ability of having their high school, their local high school, have their home football games this upcoming football season.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Any other members wishing to be heard on special one?
So that would be an amendment to the original motion, Mr. President.
Okay, and as the author, I imagine you accept that as a friendly amendment. Other members wishing to be recognized on special one? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Special one is approved. Next item, please.
Mr. President, all that is left on the regular agenda is public comment at this point. Did you wish to go back into the special meeting?
Let's recess the regular meeting agenda and take up the special meeting agenda once again.
And item number one, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. Holden?
May I have a report on the NOFA program, Mr. President?
Okay. We have the appropriate staff here. Item number one of the special meeting agenda.
Just give us an in-depth report.
Mr. President, members of the council, Gary Penny, General Manager of the Housing Department. As part of the consolidated plan, we indicated that the Housing Department would come back with a $22.2 million NOFA. That's what's before you today, $16.7 million in home funds, $5.5 million in block grant funds. The NOFA emphasizes 9% tax credit projects with funding up to $3.5 million from the Housing Department. Also, bond and 4% tax credits with up to $3.5 million and an additional $500,000 for depot affordability and the rent levels. We also are proposing to fund 501c3s. These are nonprofit type bonds that are used for preservation projects, and also funding for HUD 202, that's senior projects that have a HUD commitment, or 811 HUD projects, which is disabled. We have a 200-point scale. The CAO has recommended some minor changes to the NOFA. We concur with those changes. They've added some points to go up to a 65-year restriction on the rents, and they've also asked for us to take the performance out to 40 years on the financial. We'll have to make some assumptions to do that. We usually only do 15 years. We concur with those changes and recommend the council's approval.
Coming to about $20 million.
22
points. What did we do last year?
We had a NOFA in 2000 that was $20 million. The council and the mayor determined that they wanted a waiting list. It was $32.5 million. There was $12.5 million that we didn't have.
Now, of the $22 million this year, and how much is it? $30 million last year? You said something like $22 million last year?
There's $22.2 million proposed today.
This year?
Yes.
All right. Now, last year and the year before, for the NOFA program, didn't the Playa Vista get a majority part of that money?
No.
Yes or no?
It was originally a $20 million NOFA in 2000. The council and the mayor determined they wanted to use some civil unrest 108 money that was allocated for projects that were eligible for that. And then over time, with the waiting list, we had some savings.
How much did Playa Vista get of NOFA, if anything at all?
Sorry, would you repeat the question, please?
Playa Vista, they get any NOFA money, they get any benefit money? They get tax, how much tax credit money did they get?
They did not get any.
Any tax credit money?
No.
None?
None. They got tax exempt bonds,
Tax exempt bonds money? Okay, very good.
which is not city resource.
So we have to authorize them to apply to the state for that money, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes. Okay, fine. Mr. President, members, we've been talking from time to time about $100 million trust fund. And I always want to be realistic and don't give false hope to the public for senior citizen housing and affordable housing. And with the budget shortfall that we know of, at least $200 million, it's going to be unlikely to discover, dig up, plant another $100 million for that kind of a trust fund. I think to be fair to the public is to let them know at this point in time that this is $22 million of the $100 million, which is the equivalent of the $100 million in benefits. How many housing units do you think you'll get from this?
Well, this isn't...
I know, but I'm just saying for the cities.
This is federal money and not part of the trust fund.
I understand.
The trust fund will be...
I understand all that. The point is...
will be held separately. The proposal would be to have the advisory committee develop the guidelines and then put out a separate NOFA for the trust fund.
What is the likelihood of we getting $100 million for a trust fund?
Well, that's a council and mayor...
Well, see, that's the whole point. The point is you set up, you're in charge of the housing authority. Once again, I said, let's not give false hope to the public. And if you, $100 million to give you so many housing units, and if you can get the equivalent of it from the feds, the state, or from wherever, tax credit bonds, that would have produced that amount of housing units, fine. I mean, but if you had $100 million, could you even develop them? Could you put the money to work? Answer is not likely. I don't think so. You shake your head yes, unless you're going to go out and build these housing projects with $100 million on your own and not invite developers, investors to come in and work with us to spread the money out and get more bang for your buck. If that's what you're going to do, you have a program that we can do that right now with the NOFA. I'm saying to you, we ought to say $100 million that we can put in a trust fund, or do the best we can with whatever amount we can put in a trust fund and use the equivalent of these other type of programs to produce those number of housing units. How many housing units do you think this will produce?
Between 500 and 700 housing units.
700,000 units, that sounds pretty good to me. What I'm saying is that let's not reach for the stars if we can get the moon, and then be realistic about that.
Mr. Reyes.
Council members, I'd just like to share with you that today was Councilmember Willie Grohl's first committee, and she ran it like she was running it for the past 10 years. Her own experience obviously is showing. But I also wanted to share with our staff, and I mentioned this before in committee, I want to share with the rest of the council is that, and actually Councilmember Gruhl brought this up, that we are now in a position where we know when these issues are going to be hitting us. And that we should be scheduling it out in such a way where not only the council members can attend and block out those timeframes for these special meetings, but also for the nonprofits and those entities that want to participate in the private sector with these kinds of programs. And I understand you mentioned that there is a potential conflict of interest when you have applicants competing for the same monies. What I'm talking about is how do we bring in those interest groups that have housing as priority so they can come and give us ways, approaches that we might not be considering. And I know you have a great staff. I'm not saying you're not capable. What I'm saying is that they are in different arenas. And perhaps they can shed some light or maybe show a different approach that can give us a bigger bang for our buck, which I think Councilmember Holden is emphasizing. So I'm hoping next year, or at least as we go through this quest to get the $100 million trust fund in place, that we truly formulate a stronger relationship with the nonprofits at the policy formulation stage and invite the private sector to see how we can be opportunistic with infill housing and the other types of housing, home ownership, as was discussed. And we really need a two-pronged approach. We want to preserve our historic neighborhoods, at the same time be optimistic in working around our transit-oriented district. We can enhance the density and do all the good things that allow people to become independent. But thank you for your work.
Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Councilmember Edwards, for being there this morning and helping me along as well. And I'm looking forward to having this committee bring more items that are going to increase affordable housing across the city and work with them. I would like to, because of some deadlines, ask that this item be moved forthwith as we move ahead. I do want to talk about that. In our discussion this morning, we increased the number of years that the affordability would be required, and that's an important aspect. Also want to talk about the Housing Trust Fund that Nate mentioned and Ed, the importance of leveraging those dollars and making sure that when the advisory body gets set up to do the Housing Trust Fund, that we, again, make sure that we're coordinating that with the existing funds we have through the home and CDBG and others, and to make sure we're not duplicating efforts, and that, again, that we're allowing the opportunity for us to leverage those dollars. So I would just ask that we move forthwith on this item.
Any other members wishing to be heard? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please.
Mr. President, item number 2 was previously considered by the council. I understand there are some members of the public who wish to be heard on this matter.
We did receive cards after the council voted on item 2 of the special meeting agenda. Is there a motion for reconsideration? Mr. Ridley Thomas moves reconsideration. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Item number 2 now being back before us. Let us reopen the public hearing. At this point in time, the council calls forward Ms. Nadine Diaz to be followed by Rosalie Gorola, Luisa Sanchez, Dr. Anthony Diaz. Please come forward.
Good morning, council members. My name is Rosalie Gorola, and I'm a resident of Boyle Heights. I'm here with some other members of Boyle Heights, and we're here to thank the city council for approving the community's desire that the Santa Fe Hospital be listed as a historical cultural monument. This was a collaborative effort, something very important to people in Boyle Heights. We worked with a neighborhood organization, and we also had the support of our councilman, and we want to thank you. It means a great deal to us, and again, we thank you for that vote. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nadine Diaz. I'm a third-generation constituent of Boyle Heights, also a third-generation graduate of USC. I currently work at USC in research. I've been there for approximately 7 years. I am also a graduate student at USC. I'm here to support the preservation of the historical monument of the Linda Vista Hospital. My background is in anthropology, and I foresee this from a historical, cultural point of view. And I'm happy that the council totally agrees on preserving this hospital for the betterment of the neighborhood. My father, Dr. Diaz, was unable to be here. He's a medical doctor, and he wanted me to share with all of you that preserving the antiquity of this hospital is the best thing for the community. And as we all know, Boyle Heights has been neglected for many, many years. So this is a celebration for all of us. Thank you.
Luisa Sanchez, Dr. Anthony Diaz, Felicitas Acosta, and Ken Bernstein.
Hi, my name is Ulysses Sanchez. I'm here on behalf of the Latino Urban Forum, and I will soon be joining the Adelante PAC in the East LA area. I am a first-generation resident of Los Angeles, firstborn here in the country, first college graduate from UCLA. I'll be pursuing my master's degree at MIT or Caltech. I still don't know yet, so that aside. But we as a community, thank you, sir. We as a community, what we always end up doing is that in the vision of progress, we forget about preservation. And here in our community, we need to cherish and understand the value that the buildings in our community preserve for one of us, for all of us. In Boyle Heights, we have areas like the Mariachi Plaza. We have places in our area where we look at and that we see as landmarks and as valuable areas for our community. And Linda Vista Hospital is one of those. And I just want to thank the council for your support, and with your support, hopefully we can continue the progress on being able to help restore and maintain the valuable buildings that are signs of our heritage within our communities. And it's also a sign to all the Angelinos out there that the voice of the community is a voice that should be heard, and it has a voice here in the city council. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Felicitas Acosta, and I'm here with my daughter, Janet Acosta. We're both residents of Boyle Heights, and I just want to thank you for your support in this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is Dr. Diaz still here? If not,
I'm his daughter, and I just spoke on behalf of him. He couldn't be here. He'd like to thank all of you.
thank you. Ken Bernstein? Mr. Bernstein still here? If he's not here, let's add his card and his name to the file. And this closes the public hearing on item 2 of our special meeting agenda. Members wishing to be recognized, beginning with Mr. Pacheco.
Mr. President and colleagues, the original Santa Fe Hospital, which is now labeled Linda Vista Hospital, was an important part of our history here in Los Angeles, with the employees of the railroad being a part of the development of the city of Los Angeles. We know that Union Station and Santa Fe Hospital share a relationship in terms of the architectural design and the fact that they were jointly a part of a grand program to bring development to Los Angeles. So I want to thank our community members for coming out today and highlighting this issue to the entire council, and urge your support.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. Mr. Labange.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. This is a beautiful building above Hollenbeck Park, and I remembered in 1971, when I was in college, I took a physical in that building. I was going to work for the Santa Fe Railroad. They paid $52 a shift as a switchman. They took my physical, and they didn't like my back. So I didn't get the job as a switchman for the Santa Fe, but I went to 7th in Alameda and got a job with Union Ice, hauling ice blocks out the door. And they paid real well, too, back in the college days. It was very good. And there was a horse that worked in Lincoln Heights to deliver ice there at Reyes, which was very... I forget the horse's name, but Bud was the driver of the horse. Bud, and he had every bit imaginable right here in his pocket. God bless this hospital and all the good it's done for Boyle Heights. And this is a great job that the Councilman of the 14th is doing to heighten the awareness of the great history of one of the great neighborhoods of Los Angeles, Boyle Heights.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Other members wishing to be heard?
Mr. President, just item 13 forthwith, Mr. President.
Okay, we'll get there. On item number 2 of the special meeting agenda, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith, please. And item 13 of the regular meeting agenda as well. 12. I believe this concludes the special meeting agenda. Let us now adjourn the special meeting and return to the regular meeting.
On the regular meeting, you also have special 2, not on the agenda. It's a motion submitted by Councilmember Padilla, and the city attorney will speak to the need to make findings.
Madam City Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There was a legislative hearing yesterday that revealed that there's radioactive materials that are being dumped in the landfills in the city due to the extreme health hazards. This motion is asking the Department of Environmental Affairs be directed to immediately review the status of the reported radioactive waste and to report back to the city, the council, the next meeting with a comprehensive report.
All right, on the findings, please open the roll, close the roll, now tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you very much. The chair now recognizes Mr. Padilla on the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, I think the motion is self-explanatory. If you didn't catch the article in this morning's paper. There were hearings in Sacramento, and the issue is brought to light that through a possible loophole, even low-level radioactive waste was possibly dumped. How much and to what extent, we don't know, but in Sun Valley. And the reason it causes great concern is not only is it landfill, not only is it unknown in terms of danger, the materials dumped, but this is an urban area. This is a landfill that abuts residential communities. So not to sound the alarm bells completely, but there is cause for concern. I believe it's prudent for us to direct our Environmental Affairs Department to begin to track this issue, to get copies of any reports or studies that are available through Sacramento, through the legislative process, begin to get our arms around the issue and advise the council through committee first of any actions that we may need to begin to take at the city level to protect the residents of the Sun Valley area throughout the San Fernando Valley. So I would ask for your support on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. The chair now recognizes Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you. I just want to stand in support of the President's motion today and the importance of this issue. My district abuts that area as well, and look forward to getting a report back on the implications of the items we saw today in the newspaper. So thanks for your leadership on this, Alex.
All right. Seeing that there is no other member wishing to be heard at this time, the matter is before us. Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Now, close the roll. We ask that you tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Right. Do we wish for that to go forthwith? So ordered. Next item.
Mr. President, now is time for public comment on non-agenda items.
All righty. Thank you very much. There are following persons I believe wish to be heard by way of public comment. They are in the following order. Morris Kite, the inevitable, the one and only Morris Kite, followed by Paul Waters and Gloria Egger, in that order. Mr. Kite, please. Commissioner Morris Kite.
Good morning, Mr. Padilla, members of the council. Morris Kite. For identification purposes, I'm a commissioner on human relations for the county. However, I do not appear as a commissioner, I appear as an individual person. I come here today to congratulate Wendy Gruhl on being a council member. Just say it, council member Wendy Gruhl. Doesn't it just ring, you know? She's paid her dues over and over and over. I'm deeply involved in coalition politics and have been for my whole lifetime. I believe that's the most democratic way. And she is practically Ms. Coalition in that the Relations Commission has spun off a lot of commissions of action groups, and we need them to desperately populate our program. And that is true here. I've met with a number of coalitions over the years, and frequently Wendy Gruhl comes on the agenda as being a friend of progress. I congratulate the residents of your district and the city of Los Angeles for getting you as their council member. I also bring praise to Janice Hahn. I think I love desperately people who have a love of place, a love of a homeland. And Ms. Hahn is passionate about South Bay, the Bay Area, San Pedro. She just is at home there. And as a result, when she speaks for and about the residents of her district, she speaks with authority. Let me congratulate the residents of the 9th District on getting Jan Perry. You also have paid your dues. Year in and year out, you were there, hands-on, dealing with problems and dealing with them creatively and well. I congratulate you and all the rest of us, because the 9th District has a special role, you know that, and you advocated for it very well. I also compliment Tom LaBonge. He is my council member, 4th District. He also represents, as does Janice Hahn, love of place. A calendar he's put out with photographs of this area, just the most loving lens of seeing into the eyes and the souls of people. He's enchanted with Griffith Park, and so am I, and he supports it very much. I'm delighted to be here, and I think that this microphone is an agent of democracy. I hear people come through, one has one need and one problem, and another, and you hear that. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
Mr. Labange.
I just want to say, members of council, what is great about our city and our history of people who are champions and pioneers. And Morris, you've been down here much longer than I've been down here championing for the rights of all people. And I know working closely with then Councilwoman Peggy Stevenson on the first advances on good civil rights for all people, gay and lesbian people, and the efforts that you've made. You've been a leader for all people in Los Angeles, and I'm proud to be your councilman, but I'm proud that we share this great city of the which welcomes everybody. Thank you so much for coming down and saying great things about all the members of the council, including those who weren't spoken of, but I know you have them in their hearts too, like the great Mark Ridley Thomas. Thank you.
Ms. Perry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I believe Mrs. Egger wanted to say something during public comment.
Yes, and we do have her card. Did Ms. Hahn wish to comment on the previous speaker?
My name is Gloria Egger Madrid, and as you remember, on February 8th, I was here to offer your help in getting the reward issued for my son, and I thank my council person, Mrs. Perry, for making sure this was taken care of, and to thank her staff. At this time, I also would like to thank President Padilla for all that you said to me and the things that you did, as well as Councilman Pacheco, and especially to Mr. Wise, who offered me his kind words and invited me to his office so that I could express to him my feelings for losing my only son. For you do not know what happened. On December 26th, my son had left our office to go home, and when he arrived at home, there were people inside his apartment, and they shot him 4 times, and he died the next day. My son was only 33 years old, a business person that had served the military faithfully. We bought those apartments so that we could clean them up, and that was the only reason that he was in that area. It has been over 3 months, and so far we have not had any leads or anything on getting this done. But I think by having the reward reissued again so that it will be extended, so maybe someone in the community, because of maybe the money enticement or whatever, will get them to do this. But I also would like to address the council to let them know, and to let Mrs. Perry know, that all of you represent the same thing that I'm standing here for. And the loss of one child is more than anyone should go through. Nothing in this world will bring my son back. But if we can pull together as this city to express, as you talked about the airport improvements, as we talked about bringing people from Berlin and other peoples to come here, we need to keep our people that are here, right here in Los Angeles, safe. And we need to get behind the police department. We need to get with Rocky Delgado, and he's a wonderful person. He's been helpful to me also, so that we can provide the sources to our police people, the people that are here to protect and to serve us, to eliminate the gang and crime violence, so that not only young people such as my son, but as we get into our older days, that we can go out. We need to get behind the people of Los Angeles, especially the police department, and I offer with my deepest support that you do this so that our people can be safe, not only just for the people that come to visit us, but the people that have chosen to live in Los Angeles. I want to thank my husband, as well as Chief Parks and the people at the South Bureau and the 77th Precinct for all that they've done. I want to thank my husband, And most importantly, I want to thank the members of First AME Church and my pastor, Cecil Murray, for all that they've done. Because it's been 3 months, but it's though the hurt was just yesterday. So I thank you, and I continue to solicit your support that you will help me find the person that killed my son. Also, Mrs. Gallant, I want to let you know, thank you so much for the phone call. You don't know how much that meant to me to get that phone call that day, because it was not a very good day for me. And I just want to ask you to continue your support, to continue to support each other as well as our police department, so that we can be in a safe environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Paul Waters.
I'd like to thank the members of the council for their time. Amazing things grow in the city of Los Angeles. And certainly a measure of a great city is the people who call it home. And for those of you who may not have had an opportunity to know Morris for a number of years, he is truly one of the great treasures of not only this city, but this state, but this nation and the world. And it is an honor for me to be able to help him during his twilight years to come down and be able to speak to you. So, Morris, you're something else. Morris has done a number of things over the years, and to try to enumerate them would be far more than it would be possible. But one of those was the starting of the very first Gay Pride Parade on Hollywood Boulevard in the city of Los Angeles in 1970. And although that event has now moved, Christopher Street West has subsequently moved to the city of West Hollywood, our good neighbor, and still holds the name of Los Angeles Pride, as it should, as being representative of the whole area. That brings me to what I'm doing, because strange, wonderful things grow in the city of Los Angeles, and from that one Pride Parade that took place in 1970, one of just a couple, there are now 32 Pride events in 5 western states, most of them here in California. And to the event that I'm doing for when the Pride Parade came back to the city of Los Angeles due to my efforts in the San Fernando Valley as Los Angeles Valley Pride, Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, Transgender Awareness Celebration. And it did take place in 2 districts, both District 3 of Councilman Zine and also 11 of Cindy Misikowski. This coming year's event, the parade will return again, and it will be in 2 districts yet again, only this time it will be in the district of Jack Weiss, District 5, and Wendy Gruhl, so you have a Gay Pride Parade in your district. I'd like to invite you all to participate this year. That will be on Sunday, October 13th. The theme for the parade will be Unity Through Diversity, which I think is an appropriate theme for the city of Los Angeles. And I appreciate your time and attention. I have one more request. I have a delivery that I need to make to the Cultural Affairs Department, and if somebody would be able to more sit for a little while, I'd appreciate that if somebody could volunteer. One of the things that happened with that parade 30 years ago was the battles with the police department were the things of legends. When the Pride Parade came back to the city of Los Angeles after 30 years, the Los Angeles Police Department motorcycle drill team served as the honor guard. It was wonderful to be able to facilitate that happening, and what a change in only 30 years. Thank you all so much. And can somebody more sit?
I think you'll have more than a couple of volunteers. A couple of council members wanted to respond to public comment, Ms. Gruhl.
Just real quickly, I wanted to tell Morris how happy I am that he's here today and that he is truly a consensus builder. As he mentioned over the years, Morris, I just want to compliment you for your commitment and dedication over the years, and just to say thank you for coming down today, and you're always welcome in City Hall. Okay?
Wendy, you're just a million. You know, she's here, 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 here. Wow. This council is the richest that I've been working here for 45 years, and this is the best council that's ever been. I came here to agitate for the Watts Towers. The bureaucracy was so unresponsive to historic representation, they wanted to push it down. Now it's a major tourist attraction. It's in Ms. Han's district, by the way. Hey! And students come from all over to serve it. Again, I just think it's the best council that we've ever had, and the problems are great. For many years, you've depended upon vouchers to assist poverty persons. Vouchers are now somewhat unpopular. Taxi cab companies don't want to use them. Landlords are rejecting vouchers. So I just see a great many problems coming. Thank all of you.
Chair recognizes Ms. Han.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I just wanted to thank you, Morris, for your kind words. And you're right, along with Tom LaBonge, I am a great lover of place, but I certainly love people. And I was born and raised in Los Angeles. My children are third generation native Angelinos. I love this place. I love the people. And you're one of the reasons. You are a great treasure for our city. And you know what's good is you are generous with your compliments to people. And everyone, even those of us sitting around this horseshoe, need to be encouraged every once in a while. And that's a great gift. And so don't ever quit using that.
As all of you know, I'm the founding president of the Stonewall Democratic Club, the largest gay and lesbian, bisexual, and transgender democratic group in the country. And we have had for 6 long years on our agenda, elect Janice Hahn. We finally. Thanks, everybody.
Chair recognizes Mr. Holden.
Or Morris.
Nate? Nate, I'm a storyteller. It goes with being old. Let me tell you that one magical day, Nate Holden stood with the saints, with the stars. The 1st of June, 1975. Assembly Bill 49 was pending before the California State Senate. After years of lobbying and agitation, it passed the Assembly, not early, but it passed, and was in the Senate. The vote at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon was 16 to whatever.
20.
And the president of the Senate dismissed the senators. Said here they were off the airport, the bar, wherever senators go. And John Mills demanded they bring it back to recount. So they went and brought all these senators back. And Nate Holden was there to hold up the end. At about 4 o'clock, the vote was 20 to 20. 20 to 20. And so they sent for the Lieutenant Governor, Mervyn Dimely, to come. And Mr. Dimely is African American and somewhat small. He's from the islands. And he came by Air Force jet from Denver and came and said, Mr. President, what is the issue being debated? Said, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, it's Assembly Bill 49. Which would have to do with the effective quality of life officers. He said the president of the Senate votes aye. I went and hugged Nate Holden and said, thank you, sir. I thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. The vote was 20 to 18, 20 no, 18 aye. And we had another senator who was retiring, and jury awarded him with a department position. He made it 19, and I tied the vote and made it 20 to give it breathe new life into the legislation for the consenting adult bill. And then, of course, Merv Dimely flew in at 4:00 a.m. in the morning. The other side tried to get me to change. I would not flip-flop. Once I was locked in, I was locked in. And you're right, Morris, when Merv stood there, he raised those questions, and the vote became 21 to 20. The first time during my tenure in the Senate that we had the Lieutenant Governor come down and break a tie. And we did it for a very good cause, and it just reverberated throughout the United States of America, and every state is now acknowledging the consenting adult position. The adults have a right to choose. And so, once again, congratulations on your effort. and the lobbying that you did there. And before I sit down, Mr. President and members, I just want to say there was a good dear friend of ours, a mutual friend. His name is Jim Foster, who's no longer with us, but in the Miami Democratic National Convention, he rose to the podium to speak in favor of this legislation. And never before had anyone from that community, from the gay and lesbian community, be given such a right to speak in such a large audience throughout the United States of America. On a voice vote, his amendment carried, and they decided to have a roll call just to make sure it didn't happen. And of course, the rest is history. But I want to say that as president of the California Democratic Council, it was Morris, Jim Foster, who's no longer with us, leading the gay and lesbian community nationwide. You know Jim Foster. That's right. And they came to me and they just said, we don't have any recognition in this state. Can we establish a caucus? So as the president, we had to have meetings to do that. And I said, I'll shortcut all of that. We'll establish the Women Caucus and the Gay and Lesbian Caucus concurrently, and nobody would argue against it. Now you have a podium. I have a voice in the organization. So I was very glad to work with you then, now, and in the years to come. Morris, you've been a friend to all of us.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Padilla.
Thank you very
You
much.
run a good meeting.
I try. All I can do is try. Mr. Clerk, I believe that concludes public comment for today's meeting.
Yes, motions for posting and referral.
Motions are posted and referred.
Council members' request for excuse. Councilmember Garcetti requests to be excused on April 17th and 19th for city business. A motion is required.
Mr. Reyes moves. Mr. Garcetti is excused.
And Councilmember Galanter requests to be excused on April 10th and 16th for city business. This meets policy.
She's excused.
The desk is clear.
Desk is clear. It seems by the sign of the red blazer in the back of Chambers that we do have a tour and some special guests. Welcome into Chambers. Somebody like to introduce our guests, Mr. Labange?
From Westlake YMCA Center, let's give them a big hand. They're visiting City Hall for the first time. And these are kids that I tell you, they have such a wonderful opportunity. And many of them will grow up and get involved in government and become councilpersons, governors, senators, lawyers, doctors, professionals, and our community. And I know you'll do a good job at it. I trust you, for sure.
Would one of their chaperones like to describe the vests they're wearing?
I just want to thank colleagues Tom Labange and Nate Holden for bringing these young people. You know, in this area, this is one of the youngest census tracts in our city. So it's good, and I appreciate you bringing them forward and making them feel comfortable in this decision-making arena. Thank you so much.
They took the subway down here. Oh,
Tomaron el metro para venir acá.
nice little vest. We're going to put you right up on top so everybody on TV
Do
can
with
see
two of them. And you come right over here and you sit right here.
Okay, sure. My name is Tim Adams. This is the Transit People program. I want to thank Councilmember Padilla because the liaison was set up with his office, Martha Juarez at his office. I must say on a personal note, this is the first time I've seen Councilmember Mark Ridley Thomas in 25 years since Leonard Lederer's history class at Immaculate Heart College. It is a pleasure, sir. Good to see you again. We take trips with kids using the transit system. I think these kids are off track, so ordinarily they are just out and about on the streets. They have a wonderful program at the YMCA. But thanks to this program, we can take these kids and they can learn about their government. After this, we're going to be taking them to the library, Museum of Neon Art. We've taken them all over Los Angeles, and we're very grateful to you for your hospitality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Council Chambers. Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. President. And it is the case that I graduated from Immaculate Heart College some 25 years ago, and I'm here to report it with a great degree of pride. It was in that class with Professor Leder that we learned LA history and a range of other things about government, and he was one who made an indelible impression on me as I sought to engage civically, and obviously the same is true for you, and I'm just proud to see you and these young people who are learning how to become all that they can become in our city. Thanks, and good to see you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a great day. Enjoy the library. Members, are there any announcements? Any announcements? Are there adjourning motions?
Oh, wait a minute.
Please stand for adjourning motions. Mr. Labange.
Mr. President, members of council, we know that the great king of television, Milton Berle, passed. We were not in session last week, and I just wanted all of us to recognize his great contribution to life in our country through the television, and the way he brought such a smile to so many people, and ask that we adjourn in the memory of the king of television.
All members. All members. Mr. Holden.
Mr. President, I'd like to add on to Mr. Labange's motion. Uncle Milty, we call him. And it's Uncle Milty time, is what they used to say. And yes, Texaco was I gotta tell you, without Uncle Milty, we wouldn't know anything about Texaco. Well, so he brought a lot of joy to our lives, and we stood in front of the barber shop and watched the only TV that they had in our community. We watched Uncle Milty. So he's done so much for so many of us to bring joy to our lives as youngsters. So certainly he will be missed, certainly be remembered for sure, always. Mr. President, members, we have another person we're going to remember, is Beatrice S. Davis. She passed away March 26. Ms. Davis passed away in her sleep on Tuesday, the 26th. She was 90 years young. She moved to Los Angeles more than 50 years ago and saw the city grow from a quiet western town into a large metropolis that it is today. Ms. Davis was an amazing woman who started working for the Los Angeles Unified School District in 1972 when she was 60 years old and never retired. In fact, she worked up until a few weeks before her death. She set an amazing example for all of us. You just never quit. You never retire. Only when the Lord calls you. You can, until then, you can always contribute to somebody's growth and development, so she'll be missed for sure. She's survived by one daughter, 5 grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren, and that's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Any others? Mr. Rudy Thomas.
Mr. President, members of the council, the passing of Professor Patricia Reeve, a premier member of the Immaculate Heart of Mary community, one of the active voices in the transformation of the life of that community in the 60s, strong with respect to reform in the Catholic Church, made her mark with those nuns as they sought to step out on faith and to contribute to a new standing and a new order. Ultimately, became a lay community. Pat Reeve, trained as a philosopher, turned activist on a variety of fronts. Ultimately, developed one of the first courses of study for women's spirituality at the Immaculate Heart College Center. Groundbreaking work, did an immeasurable amount of work as an advocate for the homeless, and just on occasion after occasion distinguished herself and her witness as a profoundly dedicated and spiritually motivated individual. She passed this past week. Her services are to be held tomorrow, both here in Los Angeles and in Claremont. Pat Reef's witness will go long and far. I recall in 1980, she invited me to become a part of a group called the Theologies in the Americas. This was a group of international thinker, actors, ranging from Rosemary Radford Ruther to Gustavo Gutierrez to James Cone and Cornel West. That's the crowd with which she was involved. And I tell you, her life meant much to many of us, and the Immaculate Heart community and far beyond was enriched by her contributions. She will be profoundly missed.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned.